Okay, and we're live, and it's the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream, and our opening music, I'm sure, as you all know, starts like this.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
There goes the Daverhood.
And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight. Every color of day. Whirling around at night.
There goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody. Oh. Hooray! Oh. Uh-oh. On the batteries. That's our sound machine, our noisemaker. Welcome, folks. Welcome to Tony. Welcome to Catherine. Ooh, Catherine, the producer. Ooh, she's watching. And Catherine is really cool because she has done the same play in the, not really the same place, but
The Scottish play?
No, this is the more like the perfect crimey play. Off-Broadway.
Clue?
Since 1980. It's kind of a comic version of Clue, almost-ish.
Cluedo.
Well, yeah. But anyway, welcome, Catherine. She's the one who has been like 30,000 times in the show Perfect Crime off-Broadway. And then Tony, he's also a theater guy. And welcome to all the other folks who gave me thumbs up and are watching. Yeah.
Your quick time.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I would have completely forgotten that. And that's my darling and adorable wife who reminded me that I also want to make sure that I am recording this with a new audio recording that I'm going to start and click, and now we're going. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, what is Dave's Gone By? We're here every Saturday from 9 until noon Mountain Time, or thereabouts, with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, who's waving there. Never wants to go on camera. You're so cute.
I know.
Why? Why not?
I'm here for Karen Finley.
Oh, yeah, Joyce is here for our special guest in the Daverhood, performance artist, kind of a legend. She was one of the NEA Four.
5, wasn't it? NEA 5.
No, it was 4. It was Karen Finley,
My
Holly
friend wrote
Hughes.
a book about it.
Who did?
My friend wrote a book.
Well, she wrote about the...
A guy at Temple, a guy at Philly. He wrote a book about the NEA artists who had their money rescinded.
What book was his name? Do you remember? Or his name you can give out. It's a book. Yeah.
Dustin Kidd.
Dustin Kidd. So, we're just in time for Dustin Kidd's book about the NEA Four. You want to explain what happened to them?
You explain.
Well, Karen Finley is not just a playwright and monologist. I mean, the way she does her thing is it's very performative and it's provocative, and she will get naked at times, and when she's naked she will cover herself with things and rant and scream and say obscene things along with all the other stuff that she's doing.
It's just like you at bath time.
Just like me at breakfast.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
In the car.
And people like Jesse Helms and some Republican assholes didn't appreciate that. And they didn't appreciate that public money, taxpayer money, which funds things like statues and military marching bands, was going to a woman who was screaming about male-dominated America while covering herself with chocolate or pushing, a sweet potato in a place where, I would normally put a sweet potato, quite honestly. So, but she was doing it for a reason, and the reason went completely over the heads of people like Jesse Helms, and one would hazard a guess as to say people also like Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, and maybe the next piece of shit they get for the Supreme Court.
Did they pull all the money? Did it all go back? I don't know.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I don't remember, I think they sued and lost or something like that. I don't remember the whole finale of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Karen will tell us about that. But in the long run, they kind of won. Because you don't get that kind of publicity. As someone who's done a one-man show himself.
How come I can't see your comments?
I'm not sure.
couldn't you?
Yeah, I'll see if I can get them. There we go. Oh, I noticed all these folks who were tuning in. So it's Tony and Karen, different Karen.
Nancy.
Chris, my goodness, Chris, one of the major press agents in America. Ooh. And Juan and Alistair, who says, Alistair, who's for three different people. Eric and Doug. Oh my gosh, Doug, he was part of the USC fellowship that I did out in California.
No,
he was one of the teachers.
That did not get taken back.
Well,
He wanted to be the NEA 5. I'm number 5.
Well, the government stopped funding that, so
yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then Albert and some other cool folks. And Nancy, our Nancy, who won the book of Three Tall Women a couple of weeks ago when we did our Tony show.
Somebody else commented. Who said what? Can you go back?
I'm not sure I can go back.
Can you scroll on your little...
Can I do my scrolling? No, it will not.
Can you scroll down?
I'm trying. Down I can go. There's more people.
Oh.
All right, Paul and Michael and Princess. Ooh, there's someone named Princess watching. Yeah.
Wow.
And Steve and someone named Dennis. Dennis is giving a shout out to the Rabbi.
Wow.
The Rabbi will be here later. He will be interviewing Karen Finley. And it's kind of cool. It's sort of...
He's somebody who would never get NEA money.
Oh, my God. Please.
And you should say NEA is National Endowment for the Arts or of the Arts.
Let me put it this way. If the Rabbi were part of President Trump's cabinet, they would actually kill Israel and make the entire world like Al-Qaeda.
The Rabbi is very outspoken.
He is, which is why we love him. So the Rabbi says shalom back to you, Dennis Burns. And you will hear him with Karen Finley a bit later in the program. But it's kind of cool.
Is that Potato doing performance art?
He's kind of, no, that's more autoerotic asphyxiation. You don't really want to know. Oh, I had a fun time last night.
No, it's around his hat. He's fine.
Well, they breathe through their hat.
No, they don't.
They don't?
They have a nose.
Oh, that's true. They do have a nose. Anyway, hey, welcome back. What was I saying? But recently on the program, we've had people like Adrienne Truscott, and we had...
The Tony winner.
Well, wasn't Jermaine Heredia?
Yeah.
But I'm going for, like, there was one other person recently that we had, Penny Arcade, who are out there...
artists,
pushing the boundaries of,
Who's the one you had who did the comedian about rape, right? That
was Penny Arcade and Adrienne Truscott, come to think of it. So, I don't know if it's a thing where, God forbid, that a performance artist has to be raped to start making art.
It's like you're taking ownership of what happened to you, and you're talking about it rather than letting other people dictate what happened or talking about it to you. You're owning it.
Right. And by the way, you know what he is? He's a dictator because he's a potato. Do we get that? Thank you ever so much. That's comedy, right? I do comedy on this program. So there's that. So stay tuned. We'll have Karen Finley with Rabbi Saul. We will also... What else are we going to do?
I wonder if she ever got any more NEA or any federal money after that. Or was she on...
I doubt she's gotten, I'm sure... I don't know. She probably had to apply for grants, but probably also got invitations. The point was, the reason that they... as Trump would say... Let me finish. The reason they were sort of winning is that... who had heard, she would have been known by a couple of hundred New Yorkers had the NEA thing not happened, had the NEA Four not happened. But suddenly she was the chocolate-smeared woman, what she started calling herself. Suddenly she was this person that thousands of people all over the country is like, what is she doing? Oh, let's protest her. And then she had a career. If only. So I'm begging, let's say Paul Ryan, and I'm begging... Trump and Mitch McConnell. You gotta
smear yourself in chocolate.
I'll do it. I'd love to smear myself in chocolate. I'd never be hungry. I'd want a snack in the evening. I'd start licking my knee. That would be great. You don't think so?
No.
Really? You don't? Maybe chocolate is too caloric and I want to lose a little weight. So maybe if I smear myself with...
ricotta cheese.
Ricotta cheese? If I cover myself with pretzels?
You could cover yourself with Laughing Cow. It'd be low a calorie.
Oh, it'd be very expensive, though.
Yeah.
That stuff's pricey.
What about Velveeta?
Ooh! Can you try to cover yourself with... I wouldn't do it in 100-degree heat. Although Velveeta has so much preservative in it that it would probably withstand like a nuclear holocaust.
Yeah.
But then if it started to melt on me, that would be very painful.
Maybe like a sundae with the chocolate shell. We could do that.
I think people have done that. Like the Kipper kids made themselves into sundaes and things. I can make myself into a Monday.
What about borscht?
Well, Rabbi Saul does that. He takes a borscht bath every Sunday. it makes his skin, it gives him a nice rosy hue, pretty much. And if you've ever met Hugh, you can tell how rosy he is.
I thought that was the cirrhosis.
Well, he does like to stand and deliver. With sound machine. I'm doing all these magnificent puns. Thank you. There we go. Yeah. So that's what we're doing on Dave's Gone By today. Plus, what we have more story time with a cow for a Hansel. Yes, we haven't finished this book yet. We won't finish it today, but we will finish it soon by the great Erna Holyer, A Cow for a Hansel, which has pictures. In case you haven't been with us, there's some new people watching because we've got such an amazing guest today. Here's Hansel being attacked by a wild boar.
Let me see.
Hold on, I've got to get this on the camera.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it doesn't get him, but it tears up his garden pretty bad. And then we'll go inside Broadway for news of the Rialto. So if you care about the theater, even though Tony Awards were a couple of weeks ago, we still have theater stuff to talk about. And where did did the dictionary fall? Pardon me. Hold on. Oh, there it is. And we're going to go through Dave's Big Dictionary, where it's a really cool thing. I don't know if you want to do this now, but we've got Joyce will thumb through, or finger through, as it were.
Oh, God.
Oh, she just randomly found the word.
The word is prance.
Really?
To spring from the hind legs. A prancing horse. Swagger. Also, caper.
To swagger, to caper, to spring from your hind legs. So what we do on Dave's Big Dictionary is later in the show. Thanks so much for that word, babe. I'm going to offend all the people that I've made happy by having Karen Finley on the show.
You should just have the potatoes prance.
They do. Oh, they do. Here's one. So potato will now demonstrate the word prance. Okay? That's more like a spring. That's leaping.
Think of those horses, the stallions that do it. Yeah. There you go.
He's now a Broadway dancer. That's very cool.
Very good.
So prance will be the word that I'll talk about much later in the show. Because that's the thing. We should literally just chose that word at random. My job later is to talk for 5 minutes or so off the top of my crazy little head and just have an anecdote or some story or some stuff to talk about involving now the word prance as part of Dave's Big Dictionary. Okay, I think that tells everybody. Oh, we'll have a Saturday segue of songs and news and a Colorado Limerick of the damned. Every week we go and we do a horrible, tasteless, sick limerick involving one town or city in Colorado. And we've got a good one today. Are you ready?
Berthoud?
Berthoud's coming.
What?
Before Berthoud.
Right?
No. We're into the B's, though. You're right. Basalt.
Ooh.
I accidentally spit on my way. Basalt. So wait for that. That'll be the Colorado Limerick of the damned for this week. Basalt. So, here. I'll put it on this.
No, I'm okay.
Cool. Well, it's been a week, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a shitty week here in the Daverhood. Let's see, what has happened? What has this week been about? Well, first of all, old Dave is suffering and has been for a few days.
Why don't you ask if there's a doctor in the house?
Listen, I have lower back and hip pain. So since everything's done online now and there's patient portals, if somebody can tell me what to do about the hip that is giving me agony for the past several mornings and into the days and afternoons, that'd be really... I mean, I'm sitting up straighter than I usually am, mainly to avoid slouching and giving myself discomfort.
Maybe you need a girdle. You need some Spanx.
I do. I am actually wearing a support, overgarment.
It's like a belt people do when they weightlift, but it's not so strong. It's just a waist cincher.
Yeah. But it's holding on an ice pack that I'm wearing. It's really feeling good. I'm digging that. So that's been this week of waking up in the morning and barely being able to move the first half hour. That's been fun. And I'm sure so many of you watching and listening have been there and done that.
You just need an X-ray.
Well, you think it's going to be osteoarthritis.
I think it might be arthritis, but I think you got to look and see, because if it's not, it's tendon or something. You got to get an X-ray.
Yeah, but what if it is a tendon? What if it is a muscle thing?
Then you know that it's not arthritis and you can treat it differently.
And if it is arthritis?
You go to PT.
Yeah. Oh, again with the PT.
And they do the little. My friend said they could also put those tens, little electric thing you like.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. When I had it back years ago, they would put a thing on me, and they'd stimulate me, like giving me little electrocutions for my muscles.
Yeah.
I don't know if it ever actually helped, but it really felt nice while they were doing it.
You could get that done. That's why if you go to the doctor, they can give you a PT prescription.
Well, if this doesn't really go away, I will go to the doctor.
I think you should just making it worse.
Okay, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. It's inflammation. I took Advil today, and I've got ice today. I should have been icing more during the week. But anyway, so there's that. And then we told you last week about our car. Our poor, beautiful...
She's still beautiful.
Well, she has a nice personality now.
Yeah.
If you were going to date her, you'd say, well, no, she's got a great personality.
We dinged her up a little before she got the hail, too.
Just a bit, but...
She's an 11-year-old car.
Yeah.
We love her. She's low mileage. Subarus go to 200,000 miles. She's about 60.
Right.
She's going to go forever. Her hood got dinged, her roof got dinged, the sides got dinged, and she has some scratches from previous stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll get her, cleaned up a bit.
But listen to the way Joyce was describing this car, right?
Yeah.
So it was in a hailstorm for about 7 minutes.
Yeah.
But
the hail was the size of golf balls.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
But in a Colorado parking lot, people are giving thumbs up about our car being mashed by hail.
They're giving you support.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
It's like, yay, something horrible happened today.
Maybe they also, hail in Texas, it's all, so they might have experienced hail too.
Oh, yeah. That could be it. People, Wyoming, Texas, Kansas for sure, Idaho even.
What about people who were in during Sandy in the East Coast, or people in New Orleans? I mean, a lot of times this happens.
Oh, yes. Who was the teacher
Mother
who told
Nature.
you?
So in Columbia, I had a professor who told me, it was a business, public health, some kind of course, and he said, Mother Nature's a mean mother. And I said, okay.
And she can be.
Yeah.
And there's no question about that.
Yeah.
And amazingly, we've lived 9 years in Colorado without getting significant hail damage on our roof or in our car.
Yeah.
This time we were due, we were long overdue.
Yeah.
It happened and it bashed us. But, as you have said, our car, even though it's 11 years old, we bought it used, 2 years used.
It was very mildly used. It wasn't like used.
Absolutely. And we've been mild with it. I barely drove it the first year because I was still learning how to drive again. And then, even now, I drive it every day, but I go 4 or 5 miles a day in most days. Some days we'll go to Loveland, some days we'll go to Fort Collins. Okay, that's about 30 back and forth. But still, I mean, we put in 9 years something like 30,000 miles on her. Not even. Or no, maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah. It was like 29, now it's like 60.
Yeah, what happened to the car? Yeah, the hood is got dents all over it. The little ones. The hood has bigger dents. The roof has some dents on it too. Glass is fine. Knock wood. Runs fine. Brakes are fine. Radio, air conditioner, heat.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. Yeah. We just had new brakes put on it, and yet the insurance company tells us, well, it's totaled.
No, they didn't say that. Well, because the amount of repair is worth more than what they would blue book the car.
But why would you? That's the thing I don't understand. If you've got a car that runs beautifully.
It's what our admin said, that in this society, they'd rather chuck something than fix it.
Right.
Right? So something that's old or whatever, you chuck it. It's
but there's nothing internal to fix. It's all cosmetic.
I know.
So I understand what you're saying, but it's senseless.
It is, and it's wasteful.
Yeah.
You could get a new car that looks beautiful, but that has... remember the wheel problems, and those piston or whatever we were talking about. You could get a new car that's a lemon. And you could get a new car and go out and get hail damage on it. So there's no reason. And then when the adjuster said, "Oh, most of the cars we see with damage are Subarus," the problem is the problem with that logic is most people in Colorado have a Subaru. So you're going to see more Subarus with hail damage because there's just more of them.
Yeah.
You know, so it's this whole thing of like. I mean, I think this is why I hate capitalism and industry, because they just want to produce new stuff. And they'll give you a new car that maybe some of the roof or things might be better, but a lot of it might be crap. So why should we pay 3 times the value for a new car when our old car's just fine?
Well, but unfortunately, the decision by the insurance people and even the car guy I brought it to is now the quote-unquote value of our car.
Yeah.
A new car would be 10 times that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's not, to me, our car, in my crazy head, I'm thinking while we're driving before the hailstorm, if we ever want to sell this car even now, 10, 11 years old, this is my driving
Yes, that's how he drives.
Yeah, this is my braille for driving. We could get, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 if we sold it or more.
I think we still could. I think that it's like I was telling you, my dad drove stock cars, and his friend Harris used to fix anything. If you knew somebody like in the family or a friend, or we had a mechanic or body shop people who were friendly with us, they could find a roof. They could do it for very little. It's the labor.
Yeah.
It's the labor. And if we got it done, I think somebody could take it, fix it, and sell it for a lot.
Well, no, but the irony for me, again, for insurance companies and auto parts folks, is you could take this car and fix it beautifully for like $2,000.
And they would.
But it's the $2,000 somehow isn't worth.
No, but they would do it. Then they would sell it for like 15 or 10. So because all this is that it's a game. All capitalism, all this industry, it's a game. It's a game to make money, and they're losing. We've paid and not taken any insurance money from them for a while.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people just pay insurance for the car, and they're safe drivers. So now that they have this big hailstorm, they just want to recoup money. So they're cutting their losses. They don't care.
They're talking about the drivers now.
No, I'm talking about Geico or any insurance company. All they want to do is get money back. All they want to do is put out the least money they can. They don't want to put out money. So they're like, you know what? No. It's cheaper for them. They're looking at cost benefit for them. They don't care about us or our car.
Of course, yeah.
They're not the furry metal mother monkey. No company is.
Well, I'm going to drive that car, God willing. Assuming that the brakes work and assuming that the engine doesn't whatever and there's no tire well. I don't know anything about cars.
Just
the mirrors work.
And you'll get a new hood and it'll be beautiful.
That's right. When after this hail calamity for so many people, there'll probably be more stuff in junk shops and what do they call those? Auto salvage yards.
Yeah.
They'll be able to find the hood. We'll spend a few $100, make it look nicer. But I'm gonna, even if we didn't, I'm gonna drive that sucker.
She's a great car. She's great. And to me, it's a. You think it's a metaphor? You think it's an example? In society, if something's not beautiful, we destroy it, right? And or it's not perfect. But I always have the quote from Annette Funicello that things don't have to be perfect to be wonderful.
Oh.
And like, what's this quest for perfection in the West is ridiculous.
Oh, no, actually, the West destroys the perfect things, too.
Yes,
When we really want to destroy anything that seems perfect.
Everything is destroyed. It's sad.
Yeah, kind of is. So, that's been our week. Hip pain, car. I didn't mention this last week, but folks might know, it's official now, that once a month I've been doing a theater column for the Long Island Pulse magazine, which is, it started as this nice-looking magazine and it turned into this glossy, Vogue-like
fancy
lifestyle magazine on Long Island that you could get in a lot of places. It was free if you picked it up in stores and stuff. You could also subscribe to it. So what was cool was when they first started, I pitched a theater column, and I've been their theater columnist for, it's got to be
10 years? 15?
More than 10 years. Yeah. So I write about Manhattan theater. The whole idea, really,
about Long Island,
was to talk about Long Island theater.
Long Island.
And then point out to people, hey, even though it's not Broadway, it's not Manhattan, it's not off-Broadway, there's interesting things going on Long Island. And within a year or two of doing it, unfortunately, especially for the time, there really wasn't. I boxed myself into a corner, and I realized that most of the theaters were doing the usual same shit. Not that the shows were shit, but it was, Annie and this revival of that, Rent Jr. or whatever.
They're money makers, crowd pleasers, anniversary and birthday.
But a good theater company will do a show like that to pay off or pay for a show it thinks will barely break even, but that has more artistic value, more interest, more risk, untried risk. Yeah, but there just wasn't enough of that going on. So I also was writing about Manhattan theater too.
Yeah.
So I do season previews.
But David, a lot of people who live in the suburbs go into the city for culture.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. So I made that pitch as well of saying, oh, well, I can cover New York theater because New York is a train ride away. And I had a wonderful time writing for Long Island Pulse for many, many years. Yeah. And my last column is going to be in the July-August issue.
What is it?
It'll be, actually, there's... it's a Long Island Theater Company. I forget.
Okay. Yeah, no.
It might be the Argyle
Theater. It's not like you should do a retrospective of all.
Too late. But I also ended up writing a season preview column that will be online only. So it won't go. It was pitched for the September issue of Pulse, but they said, you've written it, we'll pay you for it, but there won't be a September issue. We'll put it online. And that's the problem. There won't be a September, October, November issue. They're pulling the plug on Long Island Pulse for kind of a good reason, although the Grinch, the Scrooge in me, is kind of angry about it. The woman, Nada, who runs and founded and runs Pulse, said, aside from the fact that I can't imagine with the cost of magazines now, hard copy magazines, color, and how beautiful they were making it.
Did people pay subscription? Because how did they make money?
Well, there were some that it's all advertising.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But the cost of printing such a beautiful looking book every month, I have to imagine it was sort of a loss leader.
Well, tell them it's like the Rolling Stone now.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, but for her, she's also, I believe, married, or at least partnered with a fella who is one of these humanitarian people, and I hate humanitarians.
You married one.
It's true, we teach, right? This guy is helping children and families in Haiti and airlifting them to hospitals and for medical needs. So this guy is saving people's lives, right? Well, now she wants to help him because she's been commuting, literally, to Haiti every other week. So she's still going to live part-time in Long Island, but she's going to now put her full-time energy into helping Haitian children.
Can I tell you something, too?
Yeah.
Things are not always what they seem. So if we tell you that we can't afford to put you in soccer camp because of something, that might not be the reason.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure if the Pulse were making $1 million a year.
So I would just, as my nana would say, take things with a grain of salt, right?
Sure.
So we don't know. You'll never know the full story as to what happened.
Yeah, nobody makes $1 zillion anymore in the publishing industry, at least offline, I guess. But it's sad, and I wish her well. I wish Nada...
A lot of people really enjoyed that publication, yeah.
And I certainly wish the people who were working, they've got a skeletal staff now for another couple of weeks just to tie things up. I feel, of course, bad for everybody working for this magazine. I would say there are some pretty rich people watching this program. Yeah. Maybe make her an offer and bring back the Pulse. It was a cool... it had a brand name. It was a beautiful magazine to look at. It had some very good writing in it, including mine, and it went all over Long Island. People saw it.
Yeah.
So throw a number at her. She's got nothing. She's going to junk it. Might as well go buy it. Yeah. Hint, hint. So rich folks, if you're interested in running a mag, this is your shot. So those are the three horrible things that happened over the past week and a half or two. Well, there was some good stuff, some happy stuff. Happy birthday, Mom. Mom, my mother.
Birthday, yeah.
My mother's was, I'm not going to say an age. Actually, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know the age, but happy birthday, Ima. Yesterday.
Happy birthday to you.
Do. And so a lot of the family was over saying hi and saying
it sounded like a wind tunnel, honey.
And
what's up with that?
Whenever we call my folks on their home landline phone, it sounds like I'm calling the middle of a coal mine. It's unbelievable. It makes it impossible to have a reasonable conversation because you just hear
it's like an ultrasound.
I'm talking to my womb mother.
It's like getting an ultrasound of your ear. It's why is that?
I don't know. Well, I think it does have to do with there's also a cordless phone connected on the same.
How does that have to do with?
I don't know. But as soon as they pick up the cordless phone with a regular phone, It's 2018. People have a watch now where you play. You can talk into your fucking watch in the middle of Antarctica. And my parents you can't talk to on a landline phone. It's amazing. And this was the happy stuff I was digging to.
I know.
Happy birthday, Mom. You know what? For her next birthday, I'm going to buy her a fucking phone.
I think you should.
That's what I'm going to do.
That would have been a good present.
You know, living the best present ever.
Have the AT&T people come over and hook her up.
Good Lord. So, there's that. What else? So we had... oh,
my God.
What's your day out? See, I get all...
Here. Give me the little straw. Give me the baby straw. You can drink the juice. Here.
All right. I got a juice box.
Okay,
calm
down.
I'm so excited. It's a very berry juice box.
Calm down.
Okay. Joyce is shaking my juice box. There she goes. Yay. Yeah, I'll turn it on.
No, don't turn it.
Yay.
Relax.
If you've ever had your juice box shaken, you know how painful that can be.
Don't squeeze it.
Oh, that's what she said. Here we go.
That'll help you. You need a little sugar. Yeah, see, there you go. Nothing like a juice box for a grown man.
Okay. Now, we had what was going to be, supposed to be, a delightful not a cookout, but a picnicky outdoor. Right? Last weekend.
It was a fundraiser.
Yeah, for.
I don't want to say.
Okay.
No.
So, let's just say it was for a senior-related thing here on Long Island. It was either in Loveland or Fort Collins.
On Long Island?
Oh, sorry. In Colorado. It was in Loveland or Fort Collins. And so, it's summertime, right? So, we get our hail damage on the car the last day of spring, a week later, when it's 80, 90 degrees every day in Colorado. We drive, and there's going to be breakfast, there's going to be mimosas and coffee, omelet bar.
Golf, miniature golf.
They set up in this park area, not a whole miniature golf course, but 3 or 4 mini golf stations.
Very cute.
So you could putt and do the thing. Well, looking forward, there's going to be food, and then some guy is going to give a spiel begging for money to do this nice thing for old people. Okay, great, fine. Mm-hmm. We go there. We find this place to park that, no, God forbid there should be a parking lot. God forbid there should be asphalt parking. No, we go onto this field, this grassy field, onto, dirt. Okay, fine. We walk a bit to the thing, and as we're there waiting for food, because of course we didn't eat breakfast because we're getting free omelet and then a waffle thing too, and bacon.
Yeah, that's when I heard the waffle
breakfast, and we're waiting, and the clouds. As we're standing out there,
was scary,
the clouds are coming, and then the little raindrops. The drops are coming down, and then people are starting to go under, because they had tents, but the whole thing wasn't under a tent. And then more and heavier rain, and at a certain point, I'm eyeing the doorway of the indoor part of the actual complex, and I'm like, I'm not going to wait for food. I'm getting out of here. I would just book it. Just in time, really. Yeah. Indoors. And then suddenly you've got all the servers grabbing their trays.
Glass breaking, people running. And
there's still, God bless them, but right idea, but wrong time. People who said, you know what, we're outdoors. We're under a tent.
Yeah, but the rain was going horizontally.
Yeah, the rain was slashing sideways at that point. Did not work for them. I credit their courage, but it didn't work out.
Wet hair, soaking wet,
And it was a nice time anyway, and we did get to eat, and we did get to hear the speech, and we were inside. So it would turn out to be a nice thing.
They took a nice photo of us that's part of their reel of photos.
Yeah, this is the photo they took of us, right? So there's about, more than 100 people there.
Yeah, more than 100.
People there. They have Joyce and me sitting there. Do they get us like this nice little picture from? No, it's from the back. Yeah. So you see Joyce in a very pretty profile photo, and you see the back. You basically just see bald. You see a bald man with my hand on my wife's back. It's like, oh gee, this is the photo that they put.
It's so cute. Come on.
It's cute for you because you got a good profile and a nice picture of you. Me, it's like, oh, bald guy who's molesting this girl. Really?
Maybe they think you're my sugar daddy.
Good. I wish I were.
Me too.
And so there was that. And then we go back to the car after the heavens had opened up and we had this really pretty heavy-duty, duty, thunderstorm.
Yeah.
We schlepped back to the car, and now what had been grass and dirt was mud.
No, you should say, as we approach the car, we see 3 tow trucks. That's never a good sign.
Right.
That's never a good sign, David.
Yeah. And understand, again, we live in Colorado, and it's summertime, so it's a droughtish area. There's never fucking rain. Okay? And there's not hail, except... But this week, hail, and then a few days later, slashing thunder rain.
Yes.
So... we're there with our dinged-up Subaru.
Yeah.
And this nice girl, this young girl next to us.
Of course, you're trying to help the little
she was
cute.
cute. She was cute. And she, damsels in distress. And I know I'm saying all these sexist things that Karen Finley will shout at me for later, but... a cute damsel in distress, how can you resist?
She was putting like loose leaf under her tires. It's not going to help anything.
She was going to do whatever she could because her car was stuck in the mud. I tried helping push a little bit, but did I have my bad back at that point already?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm leaning forward with my back hip, vainly, gently, I'm like, with my little fingertips, because I know if I push too hard, I'll fall over and go into traction. Try pushing back. She's going back. The tires just spinning, and we, being the humanitarians that we are, said, "We're getting out of here. We're not going to stay and help."
No, because it would have got worse for us. The tow truck was
tow
there.
truck's
They
right
had
there,
tow trucks. Come on.
But I'll tell you about our Subaru. Our Subaru, little bit slippery, but instead of going backwards, we just went forward over like the little rampy thing where you park. Out we went.
Yeah.
Little muddy. But this totaled salvage Subaru car.
Just cosmetic. Let it go. Let it go.
I'm saying.
Let's sing from Frozen. Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
Here.
I do that when I go to the bathroom every day. Feels
We're
good.
going to sing Let It Go.
Yes. Let it go. Let it go. I'm not a 12-year-old girl. I don't know the song by heart.
I don't know it either, man.
Anyway, I could do an Ethel Merman song.
No.
There's no business like show business.
Well, what time is it, honey?
What time is it?
Oh, it's 9:40. I got to get going.
Okay, 10:30 is right.
I know, yeah, but
we got to do Greeley Crimes and Old Times. That is the first official. We've been talking for 40 minutes here.
We always talk.
Our first official segment of the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream. Before we get to Karen Finley, before we get to the Segue, the Limerick, the StoryTime, the Dave's Big Dictionary, that was quite a... Just have to put that in there. We do a segment called Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and this was taken from our local newspaper, the Greeley Tribune. 2 different stories in there, which have to do, one of them is phone calls that come into the Greeley Police Department from people who need help, but not the kind of help they think they need. And there's also a fellow there named Mike Peters, who collects stories that were in the newspaper literally 100 years ago, back in 1918, and then the cutest, funniest, most nostalgic ones, and the oddest, he'll do in this column once a week in the Tribune. So we call this segment Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Da-da-da-da. Greeley Crimes and Old Times here live on this Saturday morning, June 30th, 2018, the 657th episode of the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream. We're calling it Kick Out the YAMS. Get it? For people who follow Karen Finley, you'll get that. But Kick Out the YAMS. We're doing Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Are you ready, hon? Here it goes. Here it goes. Police responded. Ooh, that's a burp. Responded to 64th Avenue for a report of Asian doves attacking a resident's house. So the caller wanted to know whom to contact for permission to...
Kill them?
Shoot them with a pellet gun. Would you shoot at doves?
No.
Doves are like the ultimate good luck omen for you, aren't they?
Yeah, doves are good. Crows are death, doves are renewal.
But meanwhile, we did get to meet yesterday the Critter Getter Man.
Yes, critter getter.
There's a guy, and thank heaven he exists, and he works out of this area. Remember we were talking a week or two ago about houses with raccoon problems and raccoon children living under the floorboards and in the walls. We have that in our neighborhood at the moment. So there's a guy, he's the Critter Getter, and his thing is he catches...
Do we call him the Crypt Keeper?
We can call him the Crypt Keeper, although he looks nothing like it. He's kind of like a mountain rugged...
He's like a biker. He's a biker dude.
Yeah, good-looking fella.
He's a biker dude. He looks like a biker dude to me.
Well, when he's not biking, this guy is, first of all...
No, I think like Harley bike, not like... Yeah, he's like a Harley, not like a biking on a mountain bike.
Oh, yeah. But the thing is, among the things this man does, like he'll go to cattle ranches around here in northern Colorado, and they're having terrible trouble with coyotes for whatever reason. I've never seen a coyote around here.
I've seen a coyote in the park, yeah.
Well, apparently, where there's cattle and their little calves, there's a big problem. So he'll get those coyotes, as it were, and he rounded up about 500 of them.
Jeez.
Now, these are not things that you just trap and let go. He killed them, skinned them, took the pelts, and make about 18 grand selling coyote pelts.
Who buys the what do you do with
fur.
a coyote? You wear a fur coyote pelt jacket?
Coyote coat, yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, rich people, this is
Why
what
would you wear a coyote?
Well, it's very soft. It's probably like mink or rabbit.
It's just I broke it. It don't work now.
Oh, no.
No, it's got to recharge.
Okay. Might have to put a new battery in our sound machine. Wait, we have the bell if we need it.
No. I'll get another one.
So, he's done that, but he also... what was the recipe? I need to ask him if I see him next time. Yeah, that's the noise we need. He traps things like a lot of skunks he gets, a lot of raccoons, rattlesnakes, which apparently we have in Colorado, not just Arizona. But he does apparently a muskrat stir fry.
Oh, David, I'm going to vomit.
I'm not joking.
I'm joking.
This is something he says is delicious.
Where do you get a muskrat?
I'm in the local hotel where they're making muskrat love. I don't know. They have them. If you smell rat musk, there's a muskrat somewhere. So he gets those and traps them and cooks. He cooks and he eats. Good. In a stir-fry skillet combo. and you know what? It's only $2.50 a scoop. So that's the Critter Getter. So a big shout-out to him. And hopefully he does get all the raccoons out of our neighbor's place. We're doing Greeley crimes the whole time. It's just all over the place today. I'm on 2 Advil for my hips, so I've got my head is out of there. I'm on drugs.
Keep the papers down so they can see it.
Sorry, yeah. We have a Nutty Bill alert. Hold your ears. Nutty Bill alert. Nutty Bill alert. Oh. Raccoon of Greeley.
Raccoon?
Well, hey!
Yes, that's raccoon.
Talk about, I didn't even notice that. Raccoon.
That's raccoon.
Of Greeley used his derby hat. Oh, my hat's over there, don't worry about it. Used his derby to stop a runaway horse. There we go. See, he did like this to a runaway horse in downtown Greeley.
Yeah.
The horse named Nutty Bill.
That tells you something.
Sure does. And then this is stampede time, so this is the perfect timing, too.
No.
It ran out of control through the downtown area. Coon threw his derby hat at the horse, striking it under the eye.
Oh, my God.
This caused the horse to slow down so his owner could corral him. Man. And if PETA was around then, they call it animal abuse. But anyway, Nutty Bill.
That says it all.
I don't need Secretariat. I don't need...
It's like, David, what horse would you ride? Crazy Jack or, Stable Sally? I want Crazy Jack.
I want to ride Lightning George. I want to ride, Rocket Randy. No, I'm going on Nutty Bill. Come on, Nutty Bill. Anyway, a convertible automobile was being driven into Johnstown and hit a severe bump in the road. There he is. The car bounced so badly, the passenger was thrown through the convertible roof and landed on the road.
Oh, my God.
Several of his teeth were knocked out.
Oh, my God.
Wear your seatbelts, folks. Yeah. How, just can you imagine just going up from the roof? That's worse than hail damage.
Wait, what happened to him?
He was thrown out of the car through the roof, landing on the road and bashed his teeth out. Yeah. But cars went at most 45 or 50 miles an hour back then.
It was a bad bump. I think on the railroad tracks, we bounce on that.
Yeah, so. That's true. That's true. I think sometimes we get in the car. Oh! Don't even know what that means. Greeley dentist.
Oh, wait, hold on.
There's your we need that. W.O. Weber said he has always opposed the Colorado law against fishing at night.
What is a dentist talking about that?
Well, I guess in his spare time, a dentist likes to do dental things.
Oh, man.
So, this week, when the eclipse darkened the day for a short time, the good dentist went fly fishing and caught several trout. So he said the state should allow night fishing. Night fishing deserves a quiet trout. Little REM thing there. Let's see. Police responded to 9th Street for a report of a 60-year-old man pushing a stroller into traffic and yelling at passing cars.
How do they know he's 60?
Well, I guess I had to talk to him and get his vitals, his information and stuff.
I see something in my glasses, like a reflection.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Not seeing anything there. But anyway, so, 60. So he's 6 years older than I am, pushing a stroller into traffic and yelling at cars.
You do that now. Is that you?
No, I don't know. You just can't get good nannies nowadays. You whippersnappers.
Daycare is so hard. What? You did that.
Oh, I have to get this. I have to do this. This is very important, folks. We had a Nuggy Bill alert before, but now it's time for a Fort Lupton alert.
Whoa.
Lupton. Alert.
Yes.
Alert.
Wasn't that worth writing for? We have a Fort Lupton alert, ladies and gentlemen. I do these because I do love to say the word Lupton. Say it with me, won't you? Fort Lupton.
What is that? You see how it has... Oh, those are your comments.
Yeah, those are the commenting people. There we go.
Let's see. Click on the comments.
Let's see if they'll show more. Nah, it's stopping where it stops. I don't know why Facebook does that. Aww. Yeah. So, are you ready for a Fort Lupton alert? A Fort Lupton jury this week found in favor of a Denver man who was suing a Fort Lupton man because they were involved in a head-on collision. The jury awarded the Denver driver $1 for damages to his automobile.
Wow.
Yeah, like Geico. Just kidding. But Lupton! There was our Lupton alert. Now, one other thing that we like to do sometimes on Greeley Crimes and Old Times is we move outside our Greeley, Weld County, northern Colorado area for the occasional story, the story that's a little odd but outside. And today, our dateline is Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Health and dieting fads are nothing new.
Okay.
From appetite-suppressant lollipops, I have not heard about that, to the quote-unquote snake diet. Have you heard about this? The snake diet is where you eat one really, really big meal a day, and then you fast for the other 22 and a half hours.
Oh, my God.
Which apparently is not a healthy thing to do.
I wouldn't like that.
It seems, well, yeah, it's what Jews do on Yom Kippur.
Somebody likes it.
Oh, okay. Somebody, if you tried the snake diet, let me know how it went for you. But it seems people will try. This comes, by the way, from a website called theinsider.com. Okay. Not Performing Arts Insider, just another insider. It seems people will try virtually anything that promises relatively easy weight loss. The latest weird dieting product.
No. Muskrat? Muskrat?
No, not muskrat on a skillet. That really works. This is hot dog water.
Oh, that was fake, remember?
Yeah, tropical hot dog water. People at a Vancouver festival reportedly paid $38 for a bottle of unfiltered hot dog water. It's literally a test tube with a hot dog in it and some water with hot dog flavor in it, said to support weight loss, increase brain function, and give a more youthful appearance.
Wow.
Yahoo News reported. The whole thing was a stunt, including a so-called scientist calling, quote, hot dog water the new coconut water. I think I'd rather drink hot dog water. The ultimate takeaway was, from the group that did it, hot dog water, in its absurdity, hopes to encourage critical thinking related to product marketing and the significant role it can play in our purchasing choices. And at the festival, some people got the joke, and some people bought the thing as a joke. Yeah. Others bought 60 liters. I mean, total, they sold 60 liters of hot dog water. No, but you know what? It was a stunt.
Yeah.
And at least the makers of the hot dog water were frank. Well, hey, you've heard of things being sold that are new age. This is sauce age. Sauce age. This is the comedy we do on Dave's Gone By. You get it? You get his comedy? Okay. Back to Greeley Crimes and Old Times, ladies and gentlemen. Police responded to Lincoln Park. We know where that is.
Oh, no.
For a report of 4 to 5 men hanging out inside an evergreen tree.
What?
I'll repeat that.
How do you hang out inside a tree?
They went up into a tree and I guess literally hung.
Well, that's okay. Isn't that like an exercise?
The caller couldn't see what they were doing and wanted police to go find out. I guess, you know what? People are despite our supposedly good economic news, people are so poor that for their kids, instead of making tree houses, it's like, there's a tree, make it your house. Don't actually need a wall. Don't need a little play area. Just go into the tree and stay there.
Maybe they wanted to be cool.
Maybe they just wanted to branch out.
Oh, God.
I couldn't leave that alone. Am I right, Bud E? Yeah. These are jokes I keep in a trunk.
Don't be so deciduous.
All right. Yeah, it's Dave's Gone By. You're getting the idea, folks. Okay, here we go. Police responded to 8th Avenue, but not 8th and 8th, 8th and 11th, about a man lying on the sidewalk. I don't know what lies he was telling, but no, he was lying on the sidewalk. The man was reportedly searching for a ride, but got tired and decided to take a nap.
Why can't you nap on the sidewalk?
I think that's almost a hobo, vagrancy thing.
Yeah.
He said he was embarrassed when the caller woke him up and asked if he could spare a beer. Again, the man asked who was lying, said, "Can you spare a beer?"
Well,
And I literally wrote, when I wrote this down from the trip, pronoun trouble. It was like, who asked for the beer? Was it the caller or the guy?
No, probably the guy.
Yeah.
Unless the caller did, when he didn't get the beer, he reported him.
A special, we were at a special celebration last weekend.
Yes.
This is a different special celebration that is planned at Deerfield. This is very cool.
Deerfield is the first African-American...
Yes.
Yeah, George...
Oh, the guy who teaches at UNC.
I keep saying George Gray.
Is it good, isn't it? George June.
Yes.
George.
So he wrote a whole, I don't know if I think it's a book about Deerfield, which is one of the first African-American settlements or towns in Colorado, out here where we live. Yeah.
Well, this is about Deer. I don't know if this is in his book. They were going to plan a special celebration there, the Black Settlement east of Greeley. There will be a picnic, entertainment, and prizes. Quote, they are going to do everything possible so that pleasure will ooze from every pore of your tired carcass.
That sounds like a good time.
I mean, the way they phrase things...
I think that's how they sell massage now.
If I could make pleasure ooze from your carcasses, ladies and gentlemen, my radio show has done its job. Not if I make you laugh a little bit, not if I give you an enjoyable interview or play some cool music that you're like, no, I want to make pleasure ooze from not just a few of the pores on your body, but literally every osmotic pore on your body skin surface. If I can do that, ladies and gentlemen, my job is done.
Wow.
Yeah. Is pleasure oozing from your pores, babe?
No. Too early.
I know, right? Oh, God. 10 Kersey boys.
Ooh. Ooh, is that like Jersey Boy?
That was a down, da, down, da, down, da. Kersey, Kersey, baby, Kersey. Okay, 10 Kersey boys were swimming in a ditch yesterday on a hot summer afternoon. I'm hoping there was water in it.
Yeah, I hope.
I'm hoping, because when I think of a ditch, I don't automatically
I think of like
liquid.
elephants in the dirt, how they just put sand on themselves.
Yeah. Well, these boys were in there. Well, an unidentified woman came by in her horse cart. Maybe she was driving Nutty Bill. I don't know.
I hope not.
Because she was Nutty Lady. She got angry.
Why?
At the boys' indiscreet language. Ooh. And she took all their clothes that were sitting on the ditch bank.
Yeah.
So by the time the boys were able to get more clothing, they came out of the, and they were all badly sunburned.
Whoa.
The woman came back later and dumped the boys' clothing in the water ditch.
There you go.
And ditch rhymes with, unbelievable. She probably gave these kids skin cancer like 40 years later.
Who knows what they were saying?
They were boys. 100 years ago, we had those words. Yeah. They were using words like hell and damn and wankle rotary engine.
They should have definitely been,
Yeah. Anyway, by the way, speaking of exclamations, it's 10 o'clock Mountain Time here at the University of Northern Colorado in my beautiful potato-filled orifice. There's our new hangy potato. I hope you like him. What should we call him?
Potato.
We're going to call him Anthony Bourdain.
No, he's not doing that.
But anyway, yes, we're in the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. That's my darling and adorable wife. And we are doing the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream live on this Saturday, June 30th, 2018. Coming up, we've got Rabbi Saul Solomon talking with legendary performance artist Karen Finley. We also have our Saturday segue of songs in the news. We'll also have a Colorado Limerick of the damned, with the city or the town being talked about today. I always forget which one it is. Yeah, it was
I never heard of it.
Basalt. And then, is there anything? Oh, Dave's Big Dictionary, too. And going inside Broadway. Lots of way cool stuff ahead on the Dave's Gone By program. I do want to mention, before we go further, a big thank you and a shout out to our sponsors, Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway. Since the mid-1970s, the Torong family has owned and operated Minuteman, the franchise, right in the heart of Hewlett, Long Island. Yeah, they moved a couple of months ago, but they just moved like 3 doors down. They're in the same place, across the street from the giant Petco, about 2.5 blocks from the LIRR station. Torong family, I've dealt with them for many years. They're great. They do fine work. And, whether you want to do one-page black and white, or double-sided, or laminated, or multicolor, if you need to do big old books, bound volumes, spiral bound, perfect binding, if you want to do posters and flyers and banners and mylar balloons, or put your wedding invitations and holiday cards. I mean, Rosh Hashanah still kind of far away, but not too soon to think about, a good Yom Kippur card for all your office people. And it's like, remember, don't eat, but you're so sweet, I could eat you up. Send them a card. Don't do that. But use Hewlett Minuteman Press for all the needs that you or your company will have. And they're especially good now at doing lithographic stuff, of putting logos on clothing, on golf balls, on pen pencil sets, on whatever you need. Plus, if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small. So it's Hewlett Minuteman Press, 516-569-5577, area code 516-569-5577. They're open during the summer 5 days a week from 8:30 until 5:30, although they'll be closed for a day or two in the middle of the week for 4th of July this coming week, but they'll be open Monday morning. Give them a call, 516-569-5577, Hewlett Minuteman Press. They are the Copy Kings. And I feel like king of the world, as bad a week as it was, I get to be here surrounded by my spuddy buddies with my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, sitting in my very comfortable office here, doing radio, or Facebookio, That's what I should call it. I should call it Facebookio. Talking, making jokes, playing music, talking to, intelligent, fun, talented, famous people sometimes. That's what I do. So for a couple of hours a week, old Dave isn't quite so miserable. That's a pretty neat thing to say. So you're being unmiserable with me for the 657th episode of Dave's Gone By. We're calling it Kick Out the Yams. So do you want to do more Greeley Crimes and Old Times, or should I move on to Inside Broadway?
I'll come in.
Cool.
Sorry.
We have just a couple because the Greeley Tribune has not been terribly assiduous doing its cop log.
Really?
It's been about 2 weeks since I've seen a cop log online. Get on the stick, guys. Anyway, the Greeley traffic cop statue
Uh-oh.
at 9th Avenue and 10th Street.
Getting closer.
Not too close. Not too far from 8th and 8th.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there was a traffic cop statue 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. I know they had traffic cops. Okay. Earlier, he was kidnapped and found at an intersection in Alt. And if you want to know about Alt, last week or 2 weeks ago, our Colorado Limerick on the Damned was about Alt. Just letting you know. Then they've rescued the statue. It was brought back to the corner.
It's like one of the gnomes when they used to steal those gnomes.
Yes.
Right? And they brought them all over.
Well, this time it's a traffic cop statue. Once he was brought back to his corner,
Yes.
he was hit by a car.
Oh, God.
And his head knocked off.
Oh, man.
Repaired
Yeah.
and set up again. A local doctor ran over him with his roadster. Maybe they're putting him in the wrong place.
Maybe put him on 8th and 8th.
Yeah. The doctor said he will pay for the damages, though. Next week, news about Greeley dentists and Greeley tax assessor statues.
Whoa, that's really hot.
I mean, what do you think is going to happen to a traffic cop statue? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, that's not a good deal.
I mean, you think young people have problems with statues that reference the Civil War or slave owners. Imagine putting a statue of a traffic cop in the middle of, like, Fort Collins.
Maybe they use that instead of having a real cop. Maybe
That's
that was
what-
their,
Like a scarecrow.
Yeah, but
like,
then...
in the dark, it sort of looks like a real police officer, and by the time you notice it, you've already slowed down and obeyed the law.
Ran over and knocked his head off.
Oh, I'll tell you what you have. You have an eyelash here,
Okay.
under the eye. Hold on. Ooh, hold on. Pinch, got it.
That's what I saw.
Can you
Thank
see,
you.
folks? There's,
Make a wish, make a wish.
Oh,
make
look,
a wish and
actually,
blow.
well, you got it. It's your eyelash.
No,
You make a wish.
and blow.
Did it go away? Yeah. Oh, bye, little eyelash.
It better not have been for any Victoria's Secret models.
Damn. Oh, well. Let me get the eyelash back. All right, we have, let's see, do we have any more? Oh, got a little bit more. I think one more. One more Greeley crime in old time for this Saturday morning. Police responded to Ash Avenue.
Where's the is this wow? Ash? A-S-H?
Yeah. Must be Greeley or
Yeah.
Eaton or Evans. I mean, gotta be close.
Yeah.
For a report of two men fighting over a parking spot.
Uh-oh.
One man, reportedly, went inside for a weapon. The two men later agreed they let the situation get out of hand.
Yes.
And so, and then Mr. Trump and Mr. Kim went for burritos at Taco Grande.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that it worked out very well.
Casa Bonita.
Casa Diaria. No, I kid.
I kid.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has not happened in about half a year here in the Daverhood. We have actually finished every single item on Greeley Crimes and Old Times. I can't believe it. This is cause for celebration.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you. So, my darling, we still, let's see, what do we want to do for...
I wish we could see the comments.
I don't know why it does this.
Click on that box.
I will. See, it just puts us where we are. There's something about Facebook, or at least Facebook running on this thing, where it will show So if I haven't called out your name, if you're watching the program, or if you've left me a comment and I haven't said what it was, unfortunately, I can't see it. I will be able to later, tomorrow, day after tonight. So apologies
Tomorrow,
if I'm not
day after
calling
tonight.
Right, yeah. So please keep leaving comments. Please do your thumbs up and tuning in. And I just can't really acknowledge you because I can't see who's joining and who's posting. I don't know why. But anyway, let's see. I've got Inside Broadway coming up. I've also got...
You do what you need to. I'm going to sit on the floor.
Okay. Or do you want to talk about... There's a couple of other things we can talk about.
What?
The big shocking revelation this week.
Oh. Go ahead, you talk about it.
Potatoes were...
You want a picture of the other one?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Okay, I'll get it for you.
So there was an article that I started screaming about and immediately emailed to my wife there of news that really rocked the potato world. We haven't done potato news in a long time. I got to bring that back. But there was a listing. They did a taste test of 12 different ketchups. Yeah? And, potatoes, in case you don't know, if you haven't been watching the show for 100 years, you know that the one thing potatoes love and live for is eating ketchup. It's their favorite thing in the whole wide world. So ketchup is very important to them. Oh, this is exciting. So we have, in this article, they took 12 ketchups, including the ones that you've all heard of, and said which, in a blind taste test, were the best tasting ketchups. Heinz did okay. Heinz was middle of the pack, although Heinz is Heinz. Heinz will always be Heinz. Now, we thought that this ketchup that is local, that is just in Colorado. Type. This is not the restaurant type. This is, actually, well, this one is. Oh, I got to bring this home. I'm going to try this one.
Yeah.
Whoa, because we have the regular at home. This is restaurant-style ketchup from Elevation.
You got to try that, yeah.
Because the regular Elevation is very tomatoey. And very good, but I think it's better on pasta and as part of a tomato sauce.
But this one is different. Let me see what's in it.
But this is restaurant style. Ooh! It's going to be thicker.
It's got organic tomato paste, purified water, cane sugar, sea salt, organic vinegar, and organic spices.
Oh, God. Oh,
bring that home, David.
Yeah. So this is the stuff.
I'm so glad we have it.
Me too.
I didn't know that I made that mistake.
Yeah, but the potatoes are not going to let us take it out of the office.
No,
now.
they'll get the. Once you taste it, you'll bring it back.
So, but Elevation was actually not, and we paid like $4 for this bottle.
No, we didn't.
Because it's local. Oh, was it on sale for like $3?
When the place closed, it got half off.
Okay, well, yeah, but this was like 5.5.
I bought like 4 of them.
Great. So. Elevation really good, but it wasn't part of the study. It wasn't part of the taste test. No. Heinz came in something around 7th or 8th out of 12. Hunt's, which I've never been all that fond of. Hunt's came in
first.
Close. No, it was like 4th
Trader
or 3rd.
Joe's was 3rd.
Trader Joe's was good. There was an organic one that was up there. Annie's was in there.
Yeah, that's
true. But the number one ketchup, according to this taste test, the best of all in terms of just...
Here, David, you want to see a picture of the bottle.
Eating it without... So Heinz did well, but should have done better considering it's Heinz.
Yeah.
The winner, Sir Kensington ketchup. Let me put that higher up. You can get that at Sprouts and some other places. Sir Kensington, which and you know what would have been a
what
a hint is that the first thing in Sir Kensington ketchup is not diced tomatoes or tomato concentrate or water. It literally just says tomatoes.
Wow.
Even this one, Elevation starts with organic tomato paste, followed by water, cane sugar, sea salt, vinegar, and spices.
I'm so glad we got the restaurant type. You could taste
God,
the difference.
Yes.
You'd be so sick.
I don't even want to. I'd be popular in prison. No, but anywho.
I can't believe we got restaurant style.
Is that cool? Is that great?
That was just a mistake of my grabbing the stuff.
Well, maybe we saw and we wanted to try both types. Yeah. So now we have the restaurant style of Elevation, and we're going to try that at home. I did a taste test yesterday between regular Elevation and Mr. Kensington. Of course, we went out and bought a bottle for twice what Heinz would cost.
Sir Kensington.
Sir Kensington. He's trying to be Lord Kensington, but it's going to be a year until Queen Elizabeth.
He needs to be knighted, yeah.
And, well, I think I ate it at night.
He has to be that instead of benighted.
Oh, yeah, babe. Oh, that feels good. Oh.
Your fingers are cracking.
I know, well, yeah, it's just shaking my arm there. So, for me, Kensington did win last night over the non-restaurant style elevation. Whether
we
with...
don't know, yeah.
Oh, something exciting. See, my life is getting better already. The week is improving.
There you go.
Anything good happened to you this week? Anything...
I'm alive.
Thank God.
Every day I wake up with our old dog, I say we can spend another day together.
That's true.
And we look at each other and we watch in Columbo or Murder, She Wrote or Monk. We enjoy that.
Yeah. The fact that our dog is Lullaby still alive and reasonably knock wood well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really... Kind of hard to complain. You know, I mean, I'm Jewish. I complain. That's what I do. But, yeah, on the whole, things are good. And if you've ever had things on your whole, you know how delightful that can be. So, anything else we need to...
Speaking of Karen Finley.
Or speaking of, let's see, you also like to watch Jersey Shore.
I do enjoy that.
We saw the finale. It was nice.
I watched Marcella, and then River. I can't.
I can't do it. I hate Marcella.
They're horrible, really. They're wonderful, but they're very dark British murder things I can't watch.
River, these are two shows to watch on
Netflix. Tell them we'll play Bananagrams.
We went to our local library. We got...
David.
Yeah.
Tell them to cheer them up what movie we were watching.
Oh, God. So we're at our local library. Yeah. No, not our local library. We're at the school library yesterday. And what they've got... Oh, that reminds me. I've got a thing to return tomorrow at the other library.
So we'll play Bananagrams tonight when we're returning.
Yeah. We go in the library and you can actually rent for free from our school library games. So a couple of weeks ago we rented Clue, and one of us had a really fun time playing that because she won every fucking game.
I love Cluedo.
Yeah. And then we played Exploding Squirrel.
No, Kittens.
Oh, Exploding Kittens. Squirrel.
That's your wish of your attacking squirrel. Yeah. That's your revenge.
Exploding Kittens, which was kind of fun until she started winning every game.
You're going to put up the cat-kitten card of the cat potato.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's on my Google Drive. You can take it.
So the images, it's a card game, but it's very funny and cute. It's kind of a Gary Larson style imagery that they use. And this time we say, Joyce is going to give me a better shot to try and win something. So this time we went for a word game, because that's my game. So we're going to try bananagrams, which I guess is sort of a Scrabble-ish.
Yeah, individual Scrabble for points.
Individual Scrabble for points. So we're going to try that. But as we're at the library, we also notice they have a stand with recent DVDs.
Or just of interest, you know.
Yeah. Movies to watch, shows to watch, series and things. Mm-hmm. And there's this rather striking picture of an old, prim-looking Cynthia Nixon. That's kind of, okay. We like, from Sex and the City. I used to see her on and off Broadway every year. And she's a wonderful actress. She's being Tanner, if you remember that HBO show. So it's like, okay, and she's playing Emily Dickinson. Why not? So we take it out, and this fucking movie. If I tell you.
I think I'm clinically depressed now, honey. It was just a downer.
And what's funny is the movie was in my mind because our mutual friend Ed Rubin, you know Ed, he loves her as an actress, and he said, it's one of the greatest performances he's ever seen. You got
in this movie?
When we took it out, he said, he saw Cynthia Nixon as Emily Dickinson, and it was just such a staggering thing. And okay, so let's get this.
It's layered, but it's just so dark.
It is just the gloomiest. Yeah. If 12 minutes goes by, you realize, somebody's got to die again. Is it going to be the father, the mother? Yeah. Who's going to die now?
Who has melancholia?
And it paints really a stereotypical picture of Emily Dickinson, the one that you had in your head, as if she was even worse than Sylvia Plath. It's just this prim, she wasn't prim, but this restricted, glum, serious person, and a real neurotic, actually. But... From what you read about Emily Dickinson, she had elements of that, but she wasn't totally like that. And the whole movie, some of it is beautifully shot.
Well, we don't know, because she had affairs and stuff. We don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Well, I don't know if they were... Do you think they were actual affairs or just friendly gentleman caller affairs? I don't know enough about her life to really know that, but...
Some were with ladies.
well, then they were more like this kind of affair, ow, ow. So, but the other thing is, as soon as the movie starts, everybody starts talking to each other in these perfect semi-witty epigrams. Every line is like tortured and word, and nobody, I don't care that it was 1863. People didn't talk like, they maybe wrote like that, because they just didn't.
How do you know?
I don't know. I wish I could go back and ask somebody, but really, do you think people just spouting epigrams back and forth?
Ask your colleague and next door neighbor in the English department.
Fair enough. I mean, it's a very stylized movie to the point where, at times, she'll be in conversation, and her conversation will actually turn into one of her poems.
Yes.
And she'll say that to somebody, but it's just so pretentious and so slow. It isn't quite boring. I'm not like falling asleep, but I still want to put a bullet in my head while I'm watching it. I'm like, is this over yet?
If we watch more of it, maybe it'll get better.
Yeah. Well, we've got only another half hour left. I mean, it's
God.
as soon as I put the thing on, I checked. It was like, oh, it's 2 hours and 5 minutes. Oh, wonderful. I was hoping for 88, like the length of an old Woody Allen comedy, or 105. No, it's 2 hours and 5 minutes of, her. I'm sorry. It's just.
Well, we'll see. Let's see the end of it.
We'll watch the end of it. But I was hoping for so much. I was hoping, because they're making it so relentlessly grim.
Yes, yes.
And it needn't be. You could still say that parts of her life were grim. She had, physical trouble. She had, religion kind of fucked up her head so that she's wants to fight against religion, but she still has very particular views about the way good girls, quote unquote, should conduct themselves. Give me a good movie about limericks.
Or Rick and Morty.
Please give me Rick and Morty. I'll take 2 minutes of Rick and Morty. It would be a tonic to all this. Rick and Morty done in this style of this movie. Morty, come to the top of the stairs. I do not wish to see you at this particular juncture in time.
Because even, like, Wild Strawberries is the same kind of feel, but it's not as depressive.
Oh, Wild Strawberries is genius. And I don't even like Wild Strawberries that much. I love the Seventh Seal. Wild Strawberries never did it for me, but Seventh Seal I love. That is a great film. If you can play, I would play Bananagrams with Death. Because he would beat me at chess. I'm not a particularly good chess player. But if Death was coming along and I say, hey, you want to play Bananagrams, I'd have a shot.
First you should play it once to see how you do. Before you make such a...
That's true. Scrabble with Death, he'd probably cheat.
I think so.
Anyway, you have to kind of...
A little bit, yeah. I got time. I'm not going to run to the movie.
Oh, okay. Do you need the hat?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you need... Potato needs to use the bathroom.
No, he just did.
Oh, Potato.
He got excited when he saw the ketchup.
I don't blame him. So did I. All right, sweetie, I'm going to start more of this.
I'll be back in a second.
Okay. Well, it's about 10:20 in the morning, Mountain Time, here at the University of Northern Colorado, where I, Dave, am doing the Dave's Gone By radio program of The Stream. Right here on Facebook. Remember, you can hear and watch. Now you can watch some of the episodes, but you can hear all the older ones, going back to our very first episode of October of 2002. Literally, by going to the website davesgoneby.com. It's Dave like my name, D-A-V-E-S, davesgoneby.com. You can also drop me an email, davesgoneby@aol.com, or as I mentioned, if you're on Facebook, you can message me here all week long or during the program. Just here at Radio Dave Lefkowitz is, of course, the Facebook page. And please, we'll have Karen Finley on with Rabbi Saul Solomon in just a little bit. If you know people who are interested in that, theater people, people who are feminists who are interested in performance art or outsider art, tell them we're here. We're going to be doing that in just a little while. Come to this page, like us, follow us on Facebook. It's been weird. Do you guys get this, Facebook people? Where Facebook friends and followers, where for a few weeks I get the occasional Facebook friend request, or I make a Facebook friend request, and then suddenly, over the past week or so, I've had this insane flurry, and I don't know if it's because we had a Rent alumnus last week, we had Wilson Germain Heredia on, or, Karen Finley has a following, if suddenly that did it, or if it's just one of these things where Facebook recommends people to like and friend other people, and my name came up high, because every day now I'm getting 10, 15 friend requests. People I don't know, have never met, strangers, and I'm thrilled, but I'm also vetting them for like, is this a spam request? Because I get those too. Is this a request that looks real but is actually spam? And you know those because suddenly there's a picture of them and then their previous posting was in 2009. And it's like, So, but still, I've been adding people. I've got about 4,700 friends now on Facebook, and I think that's fantastic. And I'd love to add more. We can have up to 5,000 on here. According to Facebook rules, I guess. So please, if you know people, real people, non-spam, who would like to be friends of the Daverhood, who would be interested in this program, either this particular one today or the ones we'll be doing weeks ahead, and also want to check out our website for all the old shows, davesgoneby.com. Please have them like and follow us on Facebook. That would be great. Okay, coming up, we've got Storytime mit a Kaufa Hansel. We have Saturday Segue of Songs in the News, Dave's Big Dictionary, and our Colorado Limerick of the Damned for Basalt. But before we do all that, you know that I have been a theater critic for many, many years. I'm also a playwright, an actor, on some level a director, although not a particularly good one, but a theater journalist since about 1988. So I love the theater, I care about Broadway and the performing arts, and that is why every week we like to go inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Yes, inside Broadway we go. Here on the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream, or the Facebookio program. I'm going to try that. The Facebookio program. We're going inside Broadway for news of the reality. Oh! I don't know what's going on over there.
Don't say anything.
I won't say anything. I'm just like... Joyce just came back into the room before she heads out with her friend for breakfast.
Don't say anything.
I
got some issues going on.
But again, that's the thing. Joyce would normally really, really want to listen to the Karen Finley interview, but she's going to be out and about and swimming and having fun.
Finley. I tell them I love when she wore the wedding dress.
So, yeah, I'm probably talk about that, actually.
Oh, good.
So, but hey, she'll miss it, but that's okay because by tomorrow she'll be able to listen to the interview, as will you, in our archives.
I love your show.
Well, thank you, sweetie, and I love you.
You're very pretty.
That I am not. But I appreciate the thought. Now, speaking of an attractive lady, a rather attractive actress, and someone who I interview actually for a different, not the Long Island Pulse that I was talking about, but Long Island Woman. I interviewed this person quite recently, and I think the issue just came out, and yet there's news about this person that she didn't tell me. That was probably in the works when I was talking to her. Anyway, it's the actress Christine Lottie, and she is going to be doing a new play off-Broadway. It's at the Darrell Roth Theater. Opening in October. Love you too, sweetie. Oh, I gotta go kiss my wife. Hold on. And Potato needs to kiss her too. Just give me a mo. Kissies. Kisses. Woohoo! Thank you, Mommy. Twin Thatcher. So, Christine Lottie. Oh my. Oh, actually, my hip is better.
Oh, good.
Do you need your tea thing?
No, sweetie, thank you.
Okay. All right, have a great one. I'll see you later. Just give me a buzz.
Yeah,
Should be home after this.
Okay, love you.
Love you too. So the new play is called Gloria, A Life by Emily Mann. She's the director and playwright who wrote Having Our Say quite a few years back. It's going to be opening in October at the Darrell Roth Theater. Who is Gloria? Why, it's Gloria Steinem. It's a bio play about the life of the famed feminist and author Gloria Steinem. Of course, you know Christine Lottie, the actress from Law & Order SVU. She was an Oscar nominee for that Goldie Hawn film Swing Shift, and she was on Broadway in the Heidi Chronicles after Joan Allen left. And the reason I was interviewing Christine Lottie was she just wrote her autobiography. So if you look for Long Island Woman in libraries and various stores and things. And I think you can also read the current issue online, although it may not be until July 1st. You'll see my interview with Christine Lottie, but the big news is that she will be off-Broadway in a new show about Gloria Steinem that is happening in October at the Darrell Roth Theater. Want to let you know that, Broadway audiences were lucky enough, and I count myself among them, to see Glenda Jackson the past few months doing a revival of Edward Albee's excellent play, Three Tall Women, right? And it was done on Broadway with Alison Pill and Laurie Metcalf. It's a really good play and a terrific revival. And one of the things that anchored that revival was Glenda Jackson playing the old woman, crotchety, full of memories. And she was terrific, no question. She won the Tony Award. Well, the show closed. You're not going to get to see Glenda Jackson in Three Tall Women. But guess what? You're going to get to see Glenda Jackson, if you go to Broadway, playing King Lear on Broadway this coming April of 2019. Scott Rudin, the producer, announced this week that he's going to do it. He hasn't picked a theater yet, but he has picked the date, so it'll be in April. With Glenda Jackson. Now, she apparently already did Lear in London in 2016, but this will be a different production. She'll just be playing that same character of, Shakespeare's character of King Lear. So, I just want to make sure this is happening correctly. Oh, no, we're good. Sorry. Glenda Jackson, King Lear, it's coming. Can you imagine this? She made her Broadway debut back in 1965 in Marat Sade. And here she is still back on Broadway after 20 years in the English Parliament. It is cause for continued celebration. And unlike what they did here at UNC, where a few years ago David Grapes directed something called Queen Lear, where they made the lead character a woman and changed certain things to do that. Here, it's going to still be King Lear. It's just be an actress, a female, doing it. Just FYI. Hey, want to let you know, I held this up before. Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. This is the advertising portion of Inside Broadway. Performing Arts Insider has been around since 1944. And this is the journal that people in the entertainment industry turn to when they want to know every single thing about every show on, off, or off-off-Broadway. Let's page through it, shall we? For example, right on page 2, look what we got here. We've got, is this so weird because it's a mirror image. So here's a guide to the Broadway season. All the shows that will be opening this coming season, shows that are still running from last season, plus there's a table of contents. Way cool, right? So much more. Here's the next page, a guide to all the theaters on Broadway and what's playing in them and for how long. You think that's enough to be a really useful magazine, don't you think? Oh, but there's so much more. Here's a list of all the press agents that represent the Broadway shows. So these are the agencies that are handling 99.9% of all the productions on Broadway. If you want to get in touch with anybody involved in those shows, these are the people that you should really go through first. Okay, here, calendar listings. Every show on Broadway, when it starts, previews, opens, closes. Every show off and off-off-Broadway, when it starts, previews, opens, closes, right through till the end of that coming month. And then we have a little regional theater in this particular issue. Then what do we have? Then our big stuff, the comprehensive guide to Broadway shows. Look at that. Look at all this information here about Anastasia. Okay. These are all the producers. These are the folks involved in the show and their contact information, the managers, the agents, the production stage managers. Sometimes you can contact the writers, directors, lyricists, the designers, just from their emails and sometimes their phone numbers that are on here. You don't get that anywhere else. It isn't necessarily private information, but it's very tough to find, and it's specifically designed for people in the industry, in the entertainment industry, to be useful. And this goes all the way through for Broadway, off and off, all the way to our index in the back of every show and where you can find it in the magazine. And, of course, how you can subscribe on the back. Oh, look who that is. So, Performing Arts Insider, it is the Bible of Broadway, and it's kind of expensive, okay? People who subscribe, they pay a lot of money, whether they get it 21 times a year, which is bi-monthly, except for a couple of months when theater is lighter. Or some people just pay for the monthly edition every 12, once a month for 12 months. And yeah, they pay a lot, but they renew again and again, because Performing Arts Insider, you can't get this stuff anywhere else. Now, where can you get Performing Arts Insider? Well, first of all, you can go to the website performingartsinsider.com and find out how to subscribe or send away for a single issue. And if you happen to be in Midtown Manhattan, you can pick up a single copy at the Drama Bookshop or Theater Circle. But either way, Performing Arts Insider, it is the Bible of Broadway. And by the way, the Total Theater Company that puts out Performing Arts Insider, they also have a website that is absolutely free for everybody to use, and it's filled with theater reviews and articles and interviews. It's called totaltheater.com, totaltheater.com. It's gotten even more useful because we've started putting up a master list of every review that's on the site, so even more helpful than before, and it's absolutely free. Hundreds and hundreds of shows of reviews, Broadway, off, regional, international theater, festivals. We've got one of our critics, Herbert Simpson, who goes to the Stratford Festival, and he's been reviewing shows there that just opened. So check it out at totaltheater.com. Well, moving back to Inside Broadway on Dave's Gone By, here on this Saturday, June 30th, 2018. Some sad news, really. Actually, the following 4 items are all going to be a little bit negative, but so it goes. That's the nature of Broadway, especially in the summer. One of them is, and not completely unexpected, by the way, that the musical A Bronx Tale, based on Chaz Palminteri's solo show A Bronx Tale, and then De Niro was in the movie, well, the show has really had a very good long run. But it's going to close. It's going to close on August 5th, after 29 previews and 700 regular performances at the Longacre Theater. This show that people didn't really give much of a chance to. They thought, people would have rather seen the Chaz Palminteri play, or the reviews were kind of mez-a-mez, but people came out for it. And it's run, since December 1st. 2016 is when it opened. So congratulations, especially because 3 people who created A Bronx Tale have been friends of the Daverhood: Chaz Palminteri, Glenn Slater, and the composer Alan Menken. So congratulations on a great run. And if you guys want to see A Bronx Tale, it's going to still be running until August 5th. So you have a little bit over a month. Chaz Palminteri is now actually in the show certain days of the week. I think he's there on weekdays. And it's a good story. It's all about this Italian boy growing up in a New York neighborhood. And he's surrounded by, gangsters, mafiosa, including one guy who's kind of the leader. And he's, sometimes vicious, sometimes kind of a killer, but he's also in some ways a father figure. And this kid is looking up to him as well as looking up to his own dad. And so there's a real conflict and split there. It's A Bronx Tale on Broadway at the Longacre Theater with another 5 weeks to go. Now, shows that are closing imminently. Okay, we got 2 of them this weekend. So if you have not yet seen Denzel Washington and our friend Dakin Matthews, by the way, in The Iceman Cometh, the Eugene O'Neill play revival that is happening at the Bernard B. Jacobs Theater, well, you just have today matinee, tonight, and then tomorrow matinee, 3 more performances, and then as scheduled, the limited run is ending. It's quite a cast. You got Washington, as I said, Cole Meany, Tammy Blanchard, Frank Wood, Bill Irwin, and David Morse among the cast of these denizens of this absolute nowhere, hopeless bar. And all they do is they spin out their days there. But once a year, Hickey comes, the salesman, and he's got stories from the road, bawdy stories. He also, he usually comes in with coin, so he treats everybody to some drinks, and they have a wonderful time when Hickey comes, and Hickey comes. But he's changed somehow. And if you want to spend 3.5 hours to 4 hours finding out why Hickey has changed, go see The Iceman Cometh on Broadway at the Bernard B. Jacobs Theater today or tomorrow. Another show that announced its closing a couple of weeks ago and is closing mañana, Sunday, is Escape to Margaritaville, the play, the jukebox musical, essentially based on Jimmy Buffett songs, that is closing after 29 previews and 124 regular performances at the Marquee Theater. It's got a book by Greg Garcia and Mike O'Malley, and it's directed by Christopher Ashley. You know, the critics went in ready to hate this one. Some of them did, and some of them grudgingly said, you know what, it's not West Side Story, it's not My Fair Lady, but grudgingly, it almost hurt them to say that they actually had some fun at this show. I'm sorry I'm not going to get to see it, because I think I would have a pretty good time. Seems like an intentionally silly book, to the point of joyful stupidity, and I love that. I wish I could have taken Potato to see it, because somebody in that show, I've heard, has the idea to run the world on potato power, which is a very beautiful thing. Even if you don't like Jimmy Buffett songs, and some of them are certainly catchy, like Margaritaville, and It's Always 5 O'Clock Somewhere, and songs like that. So if you're interested in seeing Escape to Margaritaville at the Marquee Theater, again, you have just 3 more chances. It closes tomorrow. Now, I was going to end this segment by playing a song from Margaritaville, but unfortunately some bad news came down late yesterday. I don't have the information in front of me, but I will tell you just from memory that we did lose a Tony winner a day ago. Liliane Montevecchi passed away at the age of 85. She was most notably in the musical Nine. I believe she won the Tony for that. And known as a dancer, she did a couple of Broadway shows. Then she spent about a decade or so touring with the Folies Bergère and also playing with the Folies in Paris. But then she went on, she did a ton of regional theater, some Broadway shows, known for just being incredibly vibrant and striking, Liliane Montevecchi. And so let's take ourselves out of Inside Broadway with a song that she did. Oh, I can't believe this was all the way back in 1992. Can you believe that Grand Hotel was 26 years ago? Wow. Anyway, here's Randy Booth and Liliane Montevecchi from 1992, Grand Hotel, and Bonjour, Amour.
Bonjour, amour. Hello to love. Hello, my life. Bonjour.
Hi, this is Karen Finley, and I'll be performing passages from my book, Grabbing Pussy, at the Laurie Beachman Theater, West 42nd Street in New York City. And I'm talking with Rabbi Solomon on Dave's Gone By on UNC Radio.
Oh, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Solomon, and I am smearing myself with potato salad right now because I am so excited to be talking to our guest in the Daverhood today, Karen Finley. She has been a performance artist since the late 1970s in such controversial and groundbreaking theatrical works as The Return of the Chocolate-Smeared Woman, We Keep Our Victims Ready, and the more recent George and Martha. She even has a new book out of her monologue/rants. It's called Grabbing, I'm going to say the P word, Grabbing Pussy, and it's all about sexual politics in this Me Too era. She was a Ms. Magazine Woman of the Year, and you can see her live for 3 consecutive Sundays between July 15th through July 29th at the Laurie Beachman Theater in Midtown Manhattan. Won't you please give me a potato salad smeared welcome to Karen Finley. Shalom, Karen.
Shalom. How are you?
I think I got the usual complaints, the bad back, the hips, but I'm managing. How are you?
I guess I could say the same thing. Yeah, I'm managing.
Oy.
Trying to make art.
This is
the world.
The important thing, making the art, and people are going to be seeing this new book. Now, did you conceive of the book, Grabbing Pussy, as a book or as an audio performance, poem, slam thing, art first?
I considered it as a book, but that's a good question. it's a book, and it's meant to be read as books are meant to. That's their purpose. So yes, it's a book to be read.
You have a very particular, outrageous performance style. It's very in your face, a lot of yelling and stuff. Have you ever seen anybody else do a play or performance piece of yours that you wrote?
Well, yes, I have done plays, but I'm just going to back, and people have done my work, but I usually see my performances in the same way that artists paint their own paintings. It's derived from myself. It would be almost as a comedian doing someone else's jokes. So I find that that part of the artwork is about me and about the relationship that I have to the material. But I just want to go back for a moment about, I don't know if you use the word screaming or...
Well, come on, you do. You do.
I mean, I think that that's actually what this book is supposed to be addressing, is that it's talking about with my work and my performance that I've been doing, is addressing this time with the Me Too movement, or about the way how women and feminism is perceived, that when the female voice is speaking, that it's dismissed as being, yelling or as a screaming, and about those perceptions about women agency and anger and the performativity of that.
Okay, well, fair enough. However, it should be said that, yes, right-wing Republicans might say that Elizabeth Warren is a crazy, screaming woman, and they're wrong, but, you are not Elizabeth Warren. You have a very different style, too.
Yes, I think that yes, there is a style within my work, but I just wanted to bring that up about how male performers that are expressing themselves, and there's going to be other words that are going to be describing them. I just wanted to have a fluency about that, and in the conversation how that relates to.
Now, I've read a bit of the book, and I could be wrong about this, but I get the feeling you really don't like Donald Trump. Am I wrong on this?
No, I don't.
If you were to boil down in a sentence or two your greatest complaint with this man as president of the United States, what it would be?
Racist and xenophobia.
I mean, the racism, we can all sort of feel it, and the travel ban and all that, but is that really racism, or is it really just America for Americans?
Well, I think that those sentiments in thinking about history has been used before, and that's why it's so dangerous to be using nationalism as a cover for xenophobia and racism. So I disagree.
It's sort of interesting. A year ago, women were out there protesting wearing pussy hats, and they put that word right in the center of the American conversation, where people couldn't even say the word 10 years earlier. And now you've, of course, got the piece called grabbing pussy. I mean, how do you feel about that particular word?
Thank you for that question. That's a very astute question of thinking about many different ways of how society responds to language, and what are forms of activism with words that have been used against people. So yes, I think that my response to it is that it's complicated and layered. I'm using the language that's used against me, and I have complicated feelings about it. And I think that that's what this book is looking at, but also done it's done in, I know I'm not coming across as being humorous here, but also in humorous ways, because the word pussy is also done in humorous ways too. There's ways where people will be using humor and using emotional responses with words that have a history behind them. And humor has been a weapon to use against injustice. And so I'm trying to be doing that in this book. And with the performance, but I think that's a good question, and I don't have necessarily the answer about it, about how do we use words that are used against us and then free them.
I mean, black people have been trying to do that for many years with the N-word, and the rappers kind of have, but it's still, no matter what they do with it, a white person can't, and shouldn't use that word, and it's not pleasant hearing it coming out of the mouths of black people. So, I don't know, I mean, is there going to be a point when women are calling each other the C word?
Yes, I mean, I think about with language, I think that there's words that become terror. Language can become terror. Also about how people will be saying anything.
I mean, people call me the S word, schlemiel, but
in violent ways. So these are all things that I consider within my writing and in my performing.
When you first started performing back in the late 1970s, did you see a niche there of like women aren't out there really being not just standing primly with glasses reading poetry, but physically being assaultive in a way with language, with your physical body? Or was there, since it was the late 1970s, you also had people like Patti Smith and folks who were already pushing the envelope in terms of what constituted rock and roll art and performance?
Thank you for that question, because I think that what you're asking is about the discourse of art, or the discourse of comedy, and the discourse between people and what they communicate. And so, yes, my work is in discourse with artists before me, and not just female artists, but male artists and trans artists. So, yes, I feel that my work is in discourse.
Did it take you a while to, like the first time you got up in front of an audience with a piece, were you shaking and were you talking more like a normal person, and then you became more and more yourself and more of a performer actress? Or did you leap in and say, oh my God, I'm on fire, and it was almost like immediate?
I'm interested to know why that is of importance to you, about the physicality or sensation, or the body within the embodiment. I think what I'm hearing is the embodiment of the creative process. And I think that brings back to an earlier question when you were asked about, can other people do my work? And I think other people could do my work, but the embodiment of the piece is part of the creative process for me. And yes, it can be different within, and I think anyone who takes the stage, that there is an embodiment of being on, about being looked at, about the work, about the connection within that audience that's in the dark. So it's a deep purpose. It's also terrifying as well. For example, just even before our interview, I was told that you would just jump right into the interview, and I thought that was beautiful for me to hear, because that meant that there's a form of performativity within our engagement here too. There's that you are leading, and yes, there are those qualities that we have in the consciousness, and that's about my performance, and I like to have an awareness about the performativity.
But it's also, let's say, if you look at just out of the blue, take David Bowie, right? So when he first started being a singer, songwriter, actor, he was in an English song, Anthony Newley mode, and then he did the folk thing, because everybody does the folk thing, and then he discovered, I can be alien man who sold the world, thin white Duke person, and put on these different personae. Did you go through that, or were you sort of fully formed as soon as you started performing?
I think that my personality doesn't have the capacity as great artist as David Bowie, because that's why I haven't gone into acting, or if I start into music, go into music, because the fame or that celebrity culture is not what I'm introvert. And
wow! I think you probably shocked everybody listening at that. You are an introvert?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that people have it wrong in thinking that because a person can be performing on stage or that they do outlandish things, that then they're an extrovert. But introversion means that you center yourself, that you do need quiet time, that you like to be alone, that there is a sense of solitude, and you get your centering from aloneness. That does not mean loneliness, but aloneness, as opposed to an extrovert, which maybe that they get their centering from other people and being outside.
Huh.
So it takes a lot out of me when I am in the I can do it, but it's not something that I'm gifted with naturally.
Let's roll it back, though, to when, of course, you were part of what they call the NEA Four. Well, the NEA was chugging along, getting federal funding, and then you guys pushed the envelope a little more than people like Jesse Helms was happy with, and suddenly it became a big hoo-ha. What are your thoughts this day and age now of the federal money, U.S. taxpayer money, funding controversial art?
I feel that art is to be supported, but I will answer that you cannot get away from, you can't escape federal support or public support. I mean, public support is all around us, whether it's going to be radio, whether it's going to be education, a library, the streets, the water, mailing. That becomes a very vague distinction and of a legal weapon that can be used, of using decency or controversial art. And in my case, it was using the term decency, that my work was indecent and so that it shouldn't be supported.
You were naked at times, or putting chocolate on yourself, or taking a sweet potato and doing things that most people would not do with a sweet potato. What do you say to people who will still say, okay, you want to do that? Fantastic. Find an audience, have them pay for it. Maybe nowadays can even go raise Kickstarter or Indiegogo funding, but don't ask tax money to go to that.
Yes, in a very simplistic way, I hear the reduction of my work in these, sound bites. But I am an artist. I'm a professor, and my work has artistic merit. But it's speaking to a wider issue than my own personal career. I was a scapegoat and the other three artists, and what it was about gay rights. The other three artists were queer.
Well, Tim Miller, Holly Hughes, and...
Yes.
Yeah.
John Black. And so it becomes the idea of who's speaking. It's also about feminism. It's about control of our body and our destiny, women's body. It's about also what I was speaking about, U.S. policy, and about war. So the idea of decency is that within the First Amendment, that offensive material or material that you don't agree with is to be allowed to be spoken. That's what my position is. As well, many, many jobs and areas of the world are controversial, whether it's going to be tobacco farmers, whether it's going to be schools, different books in libraries. It becomes very difficult that one starts going through subject matter to be deciding what is offensive and what's not.
If we talk about reductivity in our current society, I mean, think of it this way. Look what happened when the Supreme Court made a decision to, just based on religious freedom, that a baker is allowed to not bake a cake for a gay couple that wants to be married. So they made that decision. In their case, based just on the religious portion. But now you have people turning around and say, okay, if that guy doesn't get to serve the baker, then we can shout this Republican woman out of a restaurant and refuse to serve her at the Red Hen. It works for one side, it works for both, or it doesn't work for either. I'm not sure if there's a question there, but where do you come down on that?
What I come down on is when people are not, I'm for people being served. I feel feel that the Supreme Court decision was a wrong decision, but the Supreme Court has made many wrong decisions.
And they will make many more now.
Yes, exactly.
How do you feel about the National Endowment of the Arts now? Like 25, 30 years since the big hoo-ha with the NEA Four. How do you feel they are doing all these years later with the mandate that they have?
I don't keep up on the National Endowments for the Arts, but I feel that their budget, whatever budget they have, I feel that it needs to be doubled, tripled, or quadrupled. And I'm for arts in all forms, and I think that there should be a combination of regional, national, and urban and rural art programs, and that with creativity that people can be finding other ways of problem solving and putting their creative abilities in communities.
I don't think anybody can, well, I'm sure there are some people who object to that, but I can't imagine why. But, somebody's going to object to anything. You know, if I change Manischewitz wine to Kedem on Saturday mornings, somebody's going to object to that and give me hell.
Right.
They just do. So, but here's a question that if you're not even thinking much about the NEA, one of the nice things is, considering that you're in a profession, essentially, as a performer, where there's always 90 to 95% unemployment, you've managed to make a career and feed your family. You got a husband, you got a kid, in this profession, even being on the fringe and the off-off-Broadway side of it. How do you cobble together? Is it from audiences paying? Do you raise money in different ways? Are you an invited speaker and performer all over the world? How does it work for you?
I think that the mystery of how the artist lives is a mystery, and how we learn how to survive and navigate in all the different angles of this world. But art is all around us, and we're going to be seeing words, humor, art in all aspects of life, and that there is capital in all those ways. But for my life, I think that I'd have to say that it was education that sustained me. So I'm in education. Sometimes in my life I create work, but I love academia, and I'm at NYU and Tisch School of the Arts, and I'm...
Yay! That happens to be the alma mater of the producer and host of this program, Dave. He went to NYU Tisch many, many years ago.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Being in education and learning and constantly doing that, I consider to be a spiritual act as well, and I am very blessed that I am able to be involved in education. And also in writing. In my book, Grabbing Pussy, which is out with OR Books, and you can get that online, is another way that I'm able to make a living and reach people. So yes, I have to put a puzzle of all the different skills that I have, and I think that having an education is what's helped me.
At NYU, what courses do you teach? Dance? Do you teach performance, voice?
There's a graduate program in art and public policy, and I teach people in the graduate program cultural activism.
Ooh.
How do you create artwork that is going to be influencing society or is going to be responding to issues in society or personal issues, public issues, social issues? I think what we're doing right here is a form of cultural activism, and the fact that we're having this engagement here, other people are listening, but it's not necessarily in a certain media, mainstream media. So this is a form of how we're engaging in cultural activism.
But I wish it were mainstream media. I wish I were on late-night television. I'm not. So maybe one day, maybe perhaps, if they add 150 more cable channels, there'll be room for me. But speaking of going mainstream, if I'd known you would be on the program, I would have asked a week or so ago when we talked to Wilson Germain Heredia, the actor who was in the Broadway musical Rent. Is it true, have you heard, and has it ever been confirmed, that the character, one of the most famous characters, the one played by Idina Menzel, Maureen, was kind of either based on or an homage to you.
I'm sure that it's probably a composite of people at that time. If that is true and if there can be some inspiration, that's beautiful. I have heard that, yes.
Speaking of another show, one of your own shows, and let's get a little political again, you did a piece called Unicorn Gratitude Mystery. I did not get to see that, but I read that in the show you poked fun at Donald Trump, duh, but you also poked a little fun at Hillary. Is that true?
Yes.
So, do you now wish, in retrospect, that you kind of left Hillary alone instead of contributing to a malaise on the left that's like, Hillary's not so great, so I don't know why the Democratic Party foisted her on us, not getting excited about her, may not vote for her, and look what happened.
That's a very good point. I was thinking that earlier. My performance, and actually from that performance, Unicorn Gratitude Mystery, some of those writings are in my book, Grabbing Pussy. And I'm really looking at the psychosexual exchanges that were projected onto Hillary, rather than looking at her policy. So the fact that her sense of gratitude, that I think would be the famous scene when she was at the debate and Trump was cowering over her, and the fact that she just accepted that, and her always, smiling and being so grateful and thankful, the gratitude, as well as the over concern about her deleted emails, the deleted, mail.
Yeah.
And it becomes this fear of castration complex. So those are the kind of ideas that I'm looking at, is what's behind the words and the over-concern, because there's just such an over-concern about the deleted emails. And also looking at the journey that we had to go through of Hillary and all of the abuse that she endured, with everything of imagining her returning to the Oval Office and thinking about the history with her own husband and the affairs and just the continued emotional slaughter that she had to endure and that we had to watch. It's also tragic, but there is a humor in it too, and it's very Shakespearean.
The hashtag #MeToo times that we're living in. As an intelligent person and also a professor, you can see that there's gradations. There's a difference between, say, Harvey Weinstein and Al Franken, and Charlie Rose. Are we eluding that by just maybe going a little too overboard? Or are you saying, hey, you know what? It's time for the flood to wash everything clean, and if some people who aren't as guilty as others get washed away, so be it?
Well, say that to me again in the way how you're thinking of that.
Well, in other words, there's a certain feeling right now, perhaps, in our society of women saying, okay, it's enough, we've taken just what you've been talking about that Hillary went through in her vetting to try and become president. Is there a point now where we're conflating animals like Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein with people like Garrison Keillor and Al Franken, who made mistakes but not remotely on that level? Would you say that's fair because we need a purification in some way? Or are we going overboard?
I hear what you're saying, and it's interesting to me about the need to have these borders or boundaries of human of behavior, and to separate and to have the gradations verified. Yes, there is a difference between a violent serial rapist and a person who makes comments and says sexist comments and does not go to that physical violence. Yes. But when there is this environment, and an overall environment, I think that that's what's being addressed. It's difficult and it's complicated. And yes, it's going to be messy. And yes, there's going to be some people and careers that they have established work environments where you are feel that that's a form of sexism. It's an environment. And so I can't speak to individual situations that I am not aware of, but that's how, as a woman, I have worked in environments like that. It's very difficult to be in that. It's not the same, and I don't think anyone is making that the same.
Well, they kind of are. I mean, when Al Franken loses his job because he took a photograph where he was making believe he was honking a woman's boobs. He wasn't even doing it. He was just kind of, saying, hey, get the shot. Let me do it. She's asleep. Let me do it. It was bad taste. But he lost his seat for doing that. Is that overboard?
Yes, I feel that is a disgrace that had to happen to that point. But you would have to see if it was continuing on. But it was his choice. He decided to leave.
Well,
I think he decided to leave. I mean, he could have made some decisions there, but
Nixon decided to leave in 1972.
Those are things that I love Al Franken. I'm a big fan of his. What are you advocating then? That there has to be a cutoff, or that?
Yeah, there should be a gradation. There should be not political correctness run amok. I mean, we know that Eileen Wuornos and Roseanne Barr are two very different, they both made mistakes, but they're very different mistakes, Same kind of thing, I think, with a lot of the people.
I think Roseanne Barr, though, is going insane is different than, I think these idea of lumping people together and doing that, or even having these conversations here. I'm not the judge, but I can speak to that environment. I think what's positive is that people are looking at what they're doing in the classroom, what they're doing, and he has gone to a certain point where everyone is very, very, very concerned and over-concerned about behavior. What we need is we need to have spaces where there can be correction. There need to be spaces, and this is too strong of a word, but it is the word to use, a rehabilitation, a reconciliation of behavior, and to change the way how we do things. And
I like
that should be able to be demonstrated. There should be a way of a course of action for people in their careers.
Now that
and that really what I think laws said, if you're seeing a situation where it's pervasive and that it continues and that it is an environment, that is where a person's career, that they have the power. And I feel that is, so taking all these different people, whether, as I understand with Garrison Keillor, that it was looked at as an environment that was going on. But I think that within Al Franken, you're finding one situation, one bad move, and that there should be spaces of apology and reconciliation that can happen.
I love that answer. That's a wonderful answer. Let me ask you if you're willing to answer this question, and feel free to use names or not use names, but you mentioned that you've been in situations where the climate, the temperature was not friendly and conducive to you as a woman. Did you just subject yourself to it? Did you submit? Or were you able to change the climate, to take corrective action yourself, or have action taken?
I've never been able to take corrective action.
Because you just felt if you did...
Well, either if you're there, I would either leave, not take the job, or if there's different circumstances, I have to go through the list. I mean, there's many, many, many different... Sometimes you don't have a choice. If you're thinking about your physical safety, you're going to do whatever it takes to get the hell out of there.
Oh.
And sometimes whether you're going to take the humiliation or you're not going to, there's different choices that you have in those moments.
I hate to even sort of ask, but in talking to both Penny Arcade and Adrienne Truscott, they were both raped and molested at one. Did you ever have to undergo that? Or, thank God?
No, I don't know that. I think in this certain situation here right now is that I feel like for my day that I'm here is for me to go through my memories or my list of aggressive acts done to me. But, yes, I have had many situations that have happened to me by many men in authority and in job situations, and it's very, very, very difficult.
The reason I asked the question is not so much to put you on the spot, but to say that it's interesting that both of those women also became not just performers and writers and playwrights, but very physical, confrontive, here is my naked body, men, deal with it, as have you.
I think that's a very, very good point, that there's going to be many women that have gone through my experiences, and they're working as waitresses, doctors, professors, mothers, rabbis, artists, throughout, farmers. And so I don't think that it's...
Yeah, I would not appear naked for my sermons because I don't want to torture my parishioners. But, But it's also fair to ask, you are, and still are, and have been for many, you're a beautiful woman. You're an attractive woman. So do you worry sometimes that men are going to objectify you, even if you're being incredibly pro-feminist, anti-male aggression, covering yourself with whatever? Do you still sort of say, well, the spotlight's on me and I'm very attractive, and how do you reconcile that?
I've never reconciled it. Well, I think that my work is taking my, if you want to say, disadvantage to advantage, and that is why the performing as a hysterical female, or the body, is what it's about. Is, to my earlier comments of talking about embodiment, instead of in resistance, I actually embody the projection, and that becomes a political gesture in performance. But I think that we can see examples of that throughout history, and especially with oppressed groups and within humor.
In the 1970s, the 1980s, you get up there and you do what you do in the way that you do it, and it was shocking. I mean, shocked everybody, even people who totally agree with you and are completely on your side. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe. Now, it's 2018. There's South Park and Rick and Morty and Family Guy and God knows what kind of movies. Is anything still a shock?
I'm going to bring back to an earlier comment that you made, and when I was speaking about mainstream and fringe, and that you love if you had more of a mainstream audience. Mm. And in some ways, doing the type of work that we do, and I'm going to say we do, does then find itself in mainstream. It does find itself in popular culture. I'm going to use the term, popular culture. So that maybe it isn't necessarily in our bodies, but it permeates collectively.
Well, God willing, you don't have to shock per se anymore. You can still be out there.
No, I don't think that my work, I think what I always used to say is I didn't think that my work was shocking, but that I thought that life was shocking. What was happening in the world is shocking. And right now, the world is shocking. Yeah. I think that what I say and do, I have an older woman's body. There's a difference in terms of the sexual appeal of the younger female ingenue body as opposed to a woman who is a mother, a woman who is a professor, and her body and revealing it. There's different projections and discomfort level with the body, and that is in play. So I would say that my body or my persona more is of wisdom and life experience. And so there's a different energy in the room.
Oh, I like that. Now, speaking of energy and stuff, I will say, and I promised Dave that I would mention this, that one of Dave's wife's favorite moments ever of going to the theater was seeing one of your monologues, and you came out to start the show in a wedding dress, and immediately you started vacuuming, which was this ironic comment on, women, we're made to do this and look like this, and then, wedding, marriage, and it's going to be this beautiful thing, and then boom, there's housework, and there's what you really have to expect for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Of course, Dave's wife hasn't touched a vacuum cleaner in months, but we won't go there. You teach, and you also have a domestic life. Are you able to be, quote-unquote, a normal wife and mother, or does every single thing you do around the house, before you lift a dustpan or before you do a dish, are you thinking, I'm a woman in 2000 whatever, should I be doing this? How come my husband isn't doing this? How come, I still feel like I have to do this as a female?
That's a beautiful question, and I think that what I was interested in that image of the wedding dress with the vacuum cleaner, and that was from a piece, The American Chestnut, is about the juxtaposition of those two images, about the virginal white and this overdressed dress, and we can see these wedding dresses that are from Princess Di to these fairy tale elements, and then the vacuuming, picking up and just the gesture of it. And I find that those images together, the juxtaposition, embraced the roles of women and the fantasies of women. But for me, I love domestic life. Before speaking to you, I went out and saw see how my plants were doing, and I made myself some kale and Kiona salad last night, and I love looking at baskets, and I love the home. I love domestic life. Because I look at every gesture, whether it's setting the table, that can be an aesthetic and spiritual gesture. I don't think that one has to have a certain culture, a celebrity culture of where it's this external world of being seen, but the artistic world can also be within one's own home.
We're having a lovely time talking with Karen Finley. Go see her perform. She is doing passages from her new book, Grabbing Pussy. It's from OR Books. Is it .com or .org? Do you know? OR Books?
.com.
And she'll be reading and kind of stage performing Grabbing Pussy, and it's at the Laurie Beachman Theater over on West 42nd Street between 8th and 9th Avenue. It's in the West Bank Cafe is the giant building that it's in. 3 consecutive Sundays, July 15th through July 29th. Just a couple more moments of questions for Karen Finley with us. Do you have any heroes, or is it dangerous to have heroes?
You mean heroes or
people iconically that you look up to, or that you did when you were growing up?
Well, right now there's many people that are in my life and performers, but I just was thinking about moments of heroes or sheroes, and one is an artist who two people that just recently passed away. One was Sabina Ott, who is an extraordinary artist and gave her life to education, and so I love her. And the writer for Details magazine, Stephen Sabin, I've been thinking about him and about being a cultural critic and reporting on nightlife and how important nightlife and those heroes in nightlife culture. And so that's what I've been thinking about. Education, people who work in art education and people who are also in nightlife. And that celebration can be a form of activism.
Oh, I like that. And I'm sorry if this is also a tough-ish question, but is art cathartic enough for you? Because people who are the children of suicides are worried that there's going to be mental illness in them, or that they might go there at one point. Did you ever go there, or did arts rescue you? And you can get everything out in what you do, and thereafter go to the dark place.
Thank you for asking such an important question now in our society of bringing up suicide and the relationship between art as catharsis or a creative gestalt, especially in the recent suicides of Bourdain and Kate Spade.
Right.
I've been thinking about that so much these past 2 weeks because you didn't say it directly, but yes, my father committed suicide. And so I have written a text about that in the moment in this time, about how I see this moment and about with suicide and also in the relationship to separation of children with parents and their children are separated from them. So I've written in part of my performance that I'll be doing at the Laurie Beachman Theater will include new writings which are reflecting on this moment in time about how we consider suicide, how we consider these celebrities, how we look at it and reflect in our life and time, and the separation of families at the borders.
And that piece is going to be,
That will be included. I'm including it so that actually in my performance I'll be doing.
Oh, okay.
50 to 60% of it will be grabbing pussy, and the other will be the new. I don't even have a title for it yet, but it's. I think I'm going to be calling it Solstice, but I have a new text that I'll be speaking about it, and I feel that that is the least that I can do about my life experience and the agony that I went through. But what I had to learn as a survivor of suicide and also within mental illness in the family, luckily that I do not suffer from that, but is that I was told to transform my pain into compassion. And that is how I try to live my creative life, is to bring compassion within the work and to turn my pain into compassion for others. I don't always am able to do it, but I try to stop myself to see how I can. So these great sadness that we have is for us to understand is just somehow that we take our sadness and that we open it up for giving and creating with whatever abilities that we have, and to stand up and to give for others.
Last question in more of hopefully a more positive vein, even though everybody's probably feeling very negative now about the way the world is going, but let's make believe that the economy stays really, really strong as it has been. What do people like you and artists and everybody else do if we want to see a change in the government in 2.5 years? What can be done as an activist person as well as an artist?
Well, we have to make sure people vote. We have to not go away. We have to be present. It has to be a sense of witnessing the artist as historical recorder. The one thing that you cannot do is, from hearing all the information that's going on, is to become depressed and to become immobilized. And also to be remembered that this constant onslaught, that there have been other times in history, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, those weren't great years. The 60s, 50s, the 40s. You know what I mean? So sense that now all of a sudden we've discovered oppression.
It is funny because people are saying, oh, things are so horrible. I mean, do you remember the years after 9/11? Do you remember Watergate? Do you remember Vietnam? I mean, I don't remember World War II years, but at the moment things really aren't that bad, which is why we're concentrating on the things that are bad.
No, also even looking at what year was good, 1860, 1913. I don't know. I mean, really, what year? Look at Reagan. That was such a happy time. I mean, Reagan invented the saying, "I don't care, do you?" And, Melania found that jacket in a closet. I mean, it left over by Nancy. The Reagan era was a time that he was silent about AIDS.
Right.
This feeling that, here we are. Yes, we've always been here we are. So that if you get rid of that, and that you have to have this spiritual centering and look at leaders who have moved forward and get up, we are to be lazy.
Now, since you mentioned spiritual, I'm going to make this the last question. You are at least a tiny portion Jewish, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Yay. So, do you ever feel Jewish? And how do you feel about God? Are you an atheist? Are you... Where are you religiously and spiritually?
Well, I always question God. I think I was questioning God. I'm always questioning God.
Which means you believe in him, but you question him or her.
I feel very culturally Jewish. I feel that that is a very strong part of my outlook, my humor, and my constantly questioning and being critical, being constantly critical. So that's an important part of, that's just who I am. But in terms of within God, I always want to make sure, I think that God, for me, is, I do believe that there's something more than this. And so, yes, I do have some relationship to some type of a higher power, or some sense of the universe calling. And I don't know what that is.
I mean, since you mentioned the Jewishness, let's not forget that Jewish people love puns and wordplay. And if you want to hear bunches of wordplay, really clever, really sharp, really smart, with a point, you go see Karen Finley at the Laurie Beachman Theater from July 15th through July 29th, Sunday nights, 7 o'clock. The Beachman Theater's on West 42nd Street between 8th and 9th Avenue in the West Bank Cafe. And you're going to want to get a copy of her book, Grabbing Pussy, from orbooks.com, orbooks.com. I mean, here you've heard her in sort of an academic, conversational mode like that. Wait till you see this woman on stage and what she can do. Karen Finley, it has been absolutely delightful and thought-provoking talking to you in the Daverhood. I wish you much success, health, happiness, and better years to do art about in the years ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was just a delight and inspiring, and thank you for taking the time for your research and your care and humor today.
Thank you so much, and shalom to you.
Shalom. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You don't owe me, bastard! You fucking asshole! You wanna suck my pussy? Well, let me suck your dick! Suck your dick, bastard bitch! Ooh, I wanna get your wiener in my ass! Well, I got your fucking cock, and it's in my twat good. I'm not gonna give it up, you piece of shit. You can't own me like you have. Just start licking that little pussy juice, and maybe I'll take that clit. Put it on your face, bastard. Put it on your mind.
Big of Doris Day there, here on the Days Gone By radio program of the stream, our Facebookio. That, of course, I probably should have warned folks with children and folks, or basically any folks, that was coming. That, of course, was Karen Finley with something that apparently was a club hit back in the day, and we're talking about 30 years ago. It's funny, Rabbi saw make a, not really a joke, make a question about whether you can still shock anymore. And, it's 2018, and that's pretty friggin' shocking right there. From Karen Finley, go see her from July 15th through the 29th, Sunday nights at the Laurie Beachman Theater in Midtown Manhattan. I don't know if she'll be doing that particular piece, but as you can see, she's got a lot to say in her very particular way, and we are very excited and proud to have had her on Dave's Gone By in the radio Daverhood. Well, yeah, it is about 20 minutes to noon Mountain Time, about 20 to 2 Eastern Time. We're doing the 657th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. I'm coming to like that, the Facebookio program of the stream. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. Again, reminder that you can find out more about this program, including listening to all our archives, all the interviews, all our previous shows are at davesgoneby.com. If you want to drop me an email, davesgoneby@aol.com is the place to do that. Or you can drop me a message here on our Facebook page, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. And don't forget, I do have a Twitter feed that I kind of underuse, but it's Yeah, the Twitter feed is Radio Dave 2. Radio Dave and the number 2. Well, let's see, what else do we have to do on this Dave's Gone By? Well, since we've been borderline obscene with that last piece by Karen Finley, and I do say borderline because everybody's border is different, I feel so much better about our weekly Limerick of the Damned. So we've been doing this for the past few weeks, Colorado Limericks of the Damned. And what that means is every week I do a poem, a beautiful poem about some town or city in Colorado. But it's a limerick. It's quite short, and also the point of limericks is generally a punchline or just an overall feeling that is amusing and also really kind of outrageous, dirty, filthy, awful, and obscene. So if you pulled the kids out of the room while Karen Finley was doing her thing, keep them there for another minute or two while we do our weekly Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme, and likewise verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain, Colorado, 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 Colorado.
This is going to seem so tame compared to what you were just listening to. But yes, it is time for our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. We've done these for a bunch of A towns like Avon and Aurora and Arvada. We are on to the B's now, and we've got an interesting one today. We're going to do our Colorado Limerick of the Damned about the town of Basalt. B-A-S-A-L-T. Basalt. Are you ready for poetry, or are you ready for our gentle and cultural moment in this episode of the show for Basalt? There was a young man from Basalt who kept jars of pee in a vault, and when he'd feel tender, he'd whip out a blender and drink all his piss in a malt. Thank you. Yes, that was our Colorado Limerick of the Damned for the day. Let's have a little, oh boy, oh no. Our sound machine has died today, perhaps rather appropriately, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, and if we have compiled the limericks that we've done so far. They're on a website of my own. You can just go to davesgoneby.com, and it will bring you to a link where you can read my plays, my poems, my songs, whole bunches and bunches of stuff. It's all at davesgoneby.com. There's a link to the WordPress site, and you can find it there. Well, what you'll find coming up on this episode of Dave's Gone By is a Saturday segue of songs in the news. Also, we'll have Dave's Big Dictionary. I've been thinking about it. And remember that the word is going to be prance. That is the word that my wife found at random in this book earlier. And then my job is to spend a few minutes talking about that word in some capacity or other, the word being prance. But before we get to all that, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I know there is literally bait on your breath as you wait with bated breath for another installment of A Cow for Hansel on a segment that we love to call StoryTime.
Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story. Remember what you said. You promised me, you said you would. You gotta give in, so I'll be good. Tell me a story, then I'll go to bed.
As it has been for a couple of months now, every week, pretty much, we've been able to do a chapter or part of a chapter of this marvelous book, A Cow for Hansel. This is a book, as I've said, that I just grabbed out of we were speaking earlier about our car and the damage, and I was back there this week talking to my fix-it guy, even though he hasn't fixed the body damage. I wanted his advice on what to do with our car. But weeks ago, when we had our brakes done, they had a place where, of course, if you're sitting waiting for your car to get fixed, you're going to need something to read. So they have copies of the newspaper, they have children's books and magazines about automobiles, of course. Well, in the basket among the Dr. Seuss things and the golden storybooks was this, a cow for Hansel. It says it's by Ernie Holyer. I'm pointing at an udder here. I mean, it's by Ernie Holyer, except it's actually a female named Erna Holyer. They changed her name so that she could sell books like this to boys. It was written in 1967, but the setting is much earlier than that. It's basically pre-war, even pre-World War I Germany. The little town of Oberhausen, I believe it is, featuring Hans, little Hansel there, a growing boy, his mom and dad, who are poor. They're nice people, but they're very poor farmers, and they're even poorer because a terrible cattle plague killed most or all of the cows in Oberhausen, and also the ones who were left alive can't give any milk. Well, they need to buy a new cow, but they don't have the money for it. So Hans has been working for a neighboring farm, not only making money, but tending his own patch of ground. The fellow farmer there, Mr. Kaiser, has allowed Hans to work on that patch and then keep everything that he grows there. And despite it being seemingly unarable, he's pulled a magnificent potato crop from it. So last week, it was time. The harvest came. He went with his friend Sepp, who is Mr. Kaiser's son. They went to the market to sell all these wonderful potatoes and make some money so that Hans can finally buy a brand new milkable, edible cow for his family. The problem is that because it was a good harvest, lots of people had a good harvest, and the price Hans thought he was going to get for his tater crop was unfortunately not what he was actually able to get for all the potatoes and the hard work that he did. But he's still in market. He still wants to buy a cow. What will happen to Hans in his quest for bovinity? Let's find out, shall we? Oh, yes. Yes, we shall. So, Hans tells Sepp, let's go to the market and see what they have for sale. The boys entered the market through a side gate in the crumbling city wall. A bedlam of voices greeted them. Bedlam, 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 bedlam. Pigs squealed. Cows lowed. No, no, no. And chickens cackled. Oh, chicken alert! Cackling chicken alert! There they are. So lots of noises in the market, of course. Mr. Kaiser's horses trembled nervously. Tremble, tremble, whinny, whinny, neigh, neigh. Sepp pulled the reins gently in an effort to calm the team. Wait for me here, Sepp. Hans jumped from his wagon. The livestock section was still fairly well stocked. He stopped. Oh, and here's, I'll show you the picture in a moment. But Hans stopped by a handsome cow, and ran his hand over her smooth tan flanks. She appeared well fed and probably had a calf. She's a fine one, isn't she? Her owner boasted. I don't know why he was singing that, but he boasted. How much are you asking for her? Hans noticed the cow's fine lines and her even horns. Okay, must be a Jewish cow there. How much would you give me for her? The owner shot back. 190 marks, said Hans. The man guffawed and slapped his knee. Did you? I have to ask you, did you ever actually slap your knee during a knee slapper? Even when you're laughing uproariously at something on TV or you're in conversation around the table, you laugh, you have trouble breathing, sometimes you cough, maybe some milk comes out your nose if you're young. Nobody ever really slaps a knee at a knee slapper, but this guy does. He guffawed and slapped his knees. "You're a clown, boy. You should be in the circus." Hans replied, "Clown? Do I look like a clown to you? What kind of clown? Like a circus clown?" No, just a little Goodfellas moment there. Well, what would you sell her for?" Hans was hurt. "You could buy your favorite cow's daughter for that amount. She's past the milk-feeding stage and would be worth every penny." The cow's owner stopped laughing. "When will she drop her first calf?" Hans asked. "In about 2 years." The heifer looked strong and healthy, but 2 years was a long time to wait. Hans walked away, but he remembered something Papa had said. This was the best time to buy. Rather than take the animals back home, the dealers were often willing to sell below market price. Hans couldn't get his mind off the heifer, as would most men. I'm not going to make a wife joke. Okay. He prayed, "Dear God, if the man will sell her for 150 marks, I'll take it as a sign that I should buy her." Hans hastened back to the man with the heifer. "I'll pay you 150 marks for your heifer," he offered. "She's worth a lot more than that." The man grinned as he studied Hans's face. "I thought you'd rather sell than to take her back." Hans turned a cold shoulder to the man and again walked away. Papa said that this was the thing to do when one was bargaining. "Boy, come back here. You can have the heifer if you can pay for her," the man said. Hans hurried back, paid for the heifer, and led her away by the rope around her neck. He was now the owner of a future cow. With a little over 40 marks left in his wallet, he looked around. A dealer was expertly hurtling crates filled with noisy chickens. Chicken alert! Noisy chickens onto a waiting truck. Hans remembered his small leftover potatoes at home. La 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 la. There they are. These are the potatoes waiting at home. They're all behind me. Business must have been pretty bad today. Hans addressed the dealer. "What do you want?" the dealer snapped. "Can't you see I'm busy?" "I'm looking for some good laying hens." Aren't we all? "I'll buy young hens if you name a good price," Hans said nervously. "How much money do you have?" The dealer eyed Hans sharply. "How much are you asking?" Hans shot back. 50 marks for this crate of 8. The dealer lifted a crate onto the truck's tailgate. "I'll pay 35 marks, if you'll be so kind as to carry the crate to my wagon." Hans liked the young brown hens. If he could get them, they would help boost Mama's household money. 35 marks isn't enough, the dealer grumbled, but when he saw Hans's money, he changed his mind. Hoisting the crate on his shoulders, he followed Hans through the crowd. At the wagon, he unloaded the crate behind the startled-looking Sepp. Hans thanked the dealer, then tied the heifer to the second wagon. "Keep an eye on her, Sepp. I'll be right back," Hans chuckled. Soon he was back with some milk, cheese, and fresh rolls he had purchased. Climbing into the wagon, he put his purchases under the seat. Sepp led the horses out of town, and in the suburb, Hans asked Sepp to stop at a nursery. With his remaining change, he bought a big white radish and asked Sepp for a bit of salt. "Let's stop for lunch, Sepp," Hans invited. The boys spread out their food by the roadside. Hans cut the radish so he could pull it apart like an accordion, and then he salted it. "This is the best lunch I've had in ages," said Sepp. A fellow can get pretty hungry sometimes. Are they really sitting there eating a salted raw radish? And this is the best meal that they've... I'm assuming they're also eating the milk and the cheese and the rolls and stuff. I just, like, what, the radish is this dessert? That's the nosh? Okay. Hans swallowed his bite as he spoke. "I have something else for you, Sepp, for helping me." He dug into his wallet and drew out a 5-mark silver coin. I can't take money from you, Hansel. I'm your friend. I was glad to come along. If you're my friend, you must take it. Hans pushed the silver coin into Sepp's coat pocket. Thanks, Hansel, but it is not necessary at all. Sepp climbed back onto the wagon and took the... I think there's a kind of an understated love that shall not speak its name between Hans and Sepp. I'm just saying. On the way home, Hans kept an eye on the heifer behind the second wagon. She followed along without trouble. After a little while, the chickens got used to the wagon's rocking and stretched their brown wings lazily in the yellow straw. Hans was pensive as they jogged along, though he had partially succeeded. His big hope of buying a milch cow had not materialized. At last the wagons jolted over the Hohenleitner's bumpy driveway. The haymow, gaping like a big black hole, swallowed up horses and wagons. Whoa! Sepp halted the horses short of the threshing machine. The boys jumped from the wagon. Sepp unhitched the horses and led them to the Kaiser farm. It was feeding time. Hans lifted the crate of chickens from the lead wagon and carried it into the barn below. The heifer lowed in the haymow. Moo. I'll read that again because I blew that. The heifer lowed in the haymow. She was probably hungry. Hans fetched the heifer and chained her beside the nosy goat, because he had bought a goat a few weeks earlier. He filled the trough with hay and he stood back. The barn already looked much better. Mama would be thrilled to have more animals she could care for. Where was she, anyway? I'm home, Mama! Hans stuck his head into the kitchen, but she was not there. Suddenly he heard the veterinarian's high-pitched voice cut through the living room door. After money again? Hans wondered. I have already shown too much patience. I need my money like everybody else, the veterinarian was saying. I can only give you 10 marks today. It's all I have in the cookie jar, Mama replied. I am tired of this 10-mark business at Frau Hohenleitner. I want all my money, you understand? Our boy sold his potato crop today. He wants to buy a cow for us, but perhaps he'll return with cash. Mama's voice sounded tired. You mean your boy can buy a cow while you keep sending me away with 10 marks at a time? The veterinarian flared. Some kind of humanitarian veterinarian there. It's the boy's money, Doctor. He worked for it all summer long. I don't think he fetched enough to pay for a cow. He will probably be coming back with the cash. Hans's joy turned to ashes. Why had he parted with his money so quickly? His money was gone now. What could he do? With cash in his pockets, he could have gone into the living room and paid off the veterinarian's bill. But with his money tied up in a heifer and a crate full of chickens, he was stuck. And that is where we will stick our post in A Cow for Hansel for this week, this Saturday, June 30th, 2018. We are just about 3/4 of the way through the book, this exciting tale of Hans, and here he is dickering with the man over the initial cow that Hans really wanted, and there's or that's the cow up there, and the heifer is beneath. So that's the heifer that Hans brought home that will be given some good milk in 2 years, but that's quite a long time, and now poor Hans's money has departed. Well, we shall depart Hohenleitner for the moment, and A Cow for Hansel, with more coming to you next week here on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of The Stream. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. It's about 3 minutes to noon Mountain Time here in Greeley, Colorado, where we do this program every Saturday morning, 11 to 2 Eastern Time on Facebook. Radio Dave Lefkowitz is the page. For more information, davesgoneby.com is the place. I want to thank again Karen Finley for being with us in the radio Daverhood. Very exciting to have her. Reminding you that she will be at the Laurie Beachman Theater for 3 consecutive Sundays, July 15th through July 29th. Find out more online at either the Laurie Beachman website or Karen Finley's site. So Karen Finley is now a friend of the Daverhood. She is officially, since she has been a guest on the show, we now consider her like family, and we check up on family. We see how they're doing, and we let you know what they're up to week after week. So, we call this segment The Friends of the Daverhood. La 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 la. Okay. A little bit of Haydn playing underneath the Friends of the Daverhood here on this, maybe a little too much Haydn. Gotta lower that down even more. Sha. Okay. Thank you, Franz Joseph. Alright, stop. Enough. Anyway, these are the Friends of the Daverhood for this Saturday, June 30th. For example, want to let you know that something called Broadway United put out a music video on Wednesday where you had Broadway people doing We Are the World, singing the old Lionel Richie, Michael Jackson song. Among the people who were singing that song were Chita Rivera, Anthony Rapp, Jarrett Spector, Beth Malone, who is an alumnus of UNC, B.B. North, Brian Stokes Mitchell, and our beleaguered friend of the Daverhood, Ben Vereen. So I guess despite some of the controversy that he was dealing with last year, he's kind of bouncing back, as it were. But you can see it on YouTube and other places, this new We Are the World, courtesy of Broadway United. Tomorrow, Sunday, June 30th, the Concert for America is going to be happening at the Great Hall of Cooper Union over on East 7th Street in Manhattan, and that is co-hosted by Seth Rudetsky, who was on our show about, I guess, a year and a half, 2 years ago. I mentioned Dakin Matthews in our Inside Broadway segment. Remember, you just have today and tomorrow to see him on Broadway in The Iceman Cometh, opposite Denzel Washington. So that is closing tomorrow. Want to let you know that playing now also through tomorrow, Donna McKechnie and Andre DeShields, two of our friends, are in New Jersey. I feel sorry for them, but no, they're at the Paper Mill Playhouse in Millburn, New Jersey, doing the Broadway-bound musical Halftime. So, catch it there in New Jersey before you have to spend $150 to see it on Broadway in a year or so. Halftime is the name of the show. Opening this week, actually on the 4th of July, and running through late August, the National Yiddish Theater in New York is going to be doing Fiddler on the Roof, but they're doing this one special. They're doing the whole show in Yiddish. Directing is actually Joel Gray, who knows a bit about Yiddish because his dad was Mickey Katz. But anyway, we haven't had Joel Gray in the Daverhood. We would love to, but we have had the musical director and the conductor of this new Fiddler on the Roof, Zalman Mlotek. He's very much involved with the National Yiddish Theater. That is happening again from July 4th through late in August. Starting on July 5th and running through the middle of August, our friend, speaking of Yiddish, Alan Lewis Rickman, is starring in a show called Tevye Served Raw. So it's very much about the origins of Tevye and Sholem Aleichem now with these shows. But it's based on Sholem Aleichem's other Tevye and Anatevka stories, and that's playing at the Playroom Theater in Manhattan. Tevye Served Raw. Also starting on July 5th and running through the end of August, Austin Pendleton, the ubiquitous Austin Pendleton, he is directing a play called The Saintliness of Marjorie Kemp that is happening at the Duke Theater on West 42nd Street. Our friend Jill Sabule, the wonderful singer-songwriter Jill Sabule, will be at the Rubin Museum of Art on July 6th. Playing now through the middle of July, Bob Kalfin, our friend, is directing the dark comedy The Property for New Light Theater. That is also on Theater Row at the Clermont Theater. Now through late July, playing in California. If you happen to be in North Hollywood. Go see Willard Manis's play Their Finest Hour. And it's all about the friendship and occasional rivalry between Edward R. Murrow and Winston Churchill. A woman was involved, of course. That is Right Act repertory happening at the Brick House Theater in North Hollywood. Want to let you know that now through early August they are trying out the Broadway-bound Moulin Rouge. That is at the Emerson Colonial Theater in Boston, Massachusetts, and features our friend of the Daverhood, Danny Burston, who was on our show. I think he was on one of our Tony shows back in June of 2006. We let you know, of course, that now it's you don't have that much more time to see A Bronx Tale, co-written by Chaz Palminteri, Glenn Slater, and Alan Menken. That's on Broadway at the Longacre Theater, closing on August 5th. The band's visit, big-time Tony winner. It won 10 Tony Awards, including Best Musical and Best Score, and I think Best Book as well. Our friend David Yazbek wrote the music and the lyrics. He wrote all the songs for the band's visit. That is playing at the Barrymore Theater. Playing at the York Theater off-Broadway, David Friedman, our composer friend. His musical comedy Desperate Measures, which won the Drama Desk Award for Best Musical this year. Desperate Measures is playing at the York Theater on the east side of Midtown, around Lexington Avenue. And then School of Rock, Glenn Slater wrote the lyrics for that. He co-wrote it with a fellow named Andrew Lloyd Webber, whom you might have heard of. Very fun show. Go see it at the Winter Garden Theater on Broadway. Summer, the Donna Summer musical. One of the people playing Donna Summer is our friend LaShangs. She was with us just a year ago, so go see her at the Lunt Fontanne Theater. Daniel Breaker, speaking of people who were on our Tony specials, Daniel Breaker is playing Aaron Burr in Hamilton at the Richard Rodgers Theater. Not that anybody can afford to go see him, but we certainly wish him well in the role. And moving away from Broadway, remember that Jim Caruso's cast party happens every Monday night at Birdland in Manhattan. Evan Seplow, our longtime and great friend of the Daverhood, remember that you can go to the website stagebuddy.com to find out all about theater and New York nightlife. Stagebuddy.com. Dr. Demento, still doing Dr. Demento shows and archiving the old ones at drdemento.com. And Bob Cudmore, doing podcasts about upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And finally, 2 different shows that you can watch on Manhattan Cable TV on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. One of them is 2 on the Aisle, hosted by Leslie Hoban Blake and Charlie Gross, both friends of the Daverhood, and the other, High Drama, with our friend Eva Heinemann. You can find out more about both at mnn.org. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Let's get that classical music going again. So yeah, we don't play that much music on Dave's Gone By anymore for reasons that have been long explained about now that we're a Facebook entity, as well as, or even more so now than being a radio broadcast or podcast. We are a podcast, of course, that we have to worry about copyright rules and playing this song or that song and WME getting all up our butts. So we still play a little bit of music, but we're very careful about how much music we're able to play. Still, we do every week a Saturday Segue, and these are just songs based around a certain theme. And what I love to do, one of my favorite segments, is I'll play a bit of a song, and your job is not only to enjoy the music, or as little of it as we can get away with playing, but decide, hey, why is Dave playing that? What happened in the news and the world at large this week that would make Dave play this? Is it the title of the song? Is it the theme of the song? Who's singing it? So that's your job. You kind of have to guess, this is cool, and Dave's playing this, because such and such happened this past week. Got it? Sure you got it. So let's carefully start our Saturday Segue of songs in the news. But here's the one thing that I'll ask of you. If Facebook gets hinky about the songs we're playing, and Facebook decides, you're playing too much music, we're going to dump you, we're going to stop you, all you got to do is give me a moment. I might have to reload Facebook. Just click on us, rejoin us again if we're dumped. So I'm just letting you know that. Hopefully it won't happen as we begin our Saturday Segue. And let us begin with, well, how many times have we had to play a song that had something to do with this particular topic? Junior Walker and the All-Stars there on Dave's Gone By. Not one of their best-known songs there. If I mention the title, it will give it away, but that is the Saturday Segue idea. So Junior Walker and the All-Stars there with a song called Shotgun. Shotgun. Gee, why am I playing the song Shotgun today on our Dave's Gone By Saturday Segue? Well, pretty obvious, I guess. A fellow named Jared Ramos, who, by the way, if he cut his hair, am I the only one who thinks he is the spitting image of the late Philip Roth? Take a look at the guy. Jared Ramos, or Ramos, barricaded himself in the newspaper in Annapolis, Maryland, the Capital Gazette. You ever heard of the Capital Gazette? I mean, it's one of the oldest, still extant newspapers in America. Never heard of the thing, but he did, and he's had a beef with them for many, many years. He tried to sue them. The case was thrown out, and he never quite got over the sting of it, and so he went into the Capital Gazette this week with a pump-action shotgun, killed 5 people, wounded 3 others, and then, brave man that he was, dropped the gun, ran away from it, and then hid. While police were searching the premises, they eventually got him alive. Fortunately, I guess. I'm not sure what word you would use for that. He had a long-standing grudge against the paper. He was uncooperative when he was arrested. He routinely sent profanity-laced tweets about the paper that retired publisher Tom Marquardt said he even called the police about it in 2013. And the former publisher, warned his wife, hey, this guy could really hurt us. Anyway, the paper did not pursue criminal charges because, quote, it didn't want to exacerbate an already flammable situation. So, once again, we've had a mass shooting. I don't know if even 5 dead, 3 wounded qualifies as mass anymore. And that's comparatively a mini shooting. When you talk about Parkland or you talk about the Vegas thing. So we've had a mini maxi shooting in America, and Democrats are just growing so fucking tired of talking about gun control, but I don't think gun control would have even helped in this situation. The man did not have an assault rifle. He did not have an AR-15. He didn't have one of these guns and ammo things that you could wipe out, an invading army with. It was a shotgun. Now, maybe it was modified a little bit. I guess pump action means so you can go pretty quickly with it. It was said that some of the survivors heard him reloading, which probably would have been a good time to run up to him, but maybe you can reload these things pretty quick. But it was a shotgun, which I doubt would have even been covered under some of the things that we want to change in terms of gun laws. Anybody can go and buy a shotgun. I don't even think you need 24 or 48 or 72 hour clearance to buy things, which is what gun reform would also be all about. And again, maybe he was normal 6 years ago. He might have had this shotgun 10 years ago, or before he got into this beef that drove him nuts with this Gazette, with this newspaper. Maybe he was just this normal fella who wanted or had a shotgun for protection or for sport, and then slowly he went apeshit, had this gun handy, and finally, all these years, all these tweets, all these problems later. So sure, yes, it is a mental illness thing to correct, or maybe it's a justice thing. Maybe if this guy had his day in court and lost even, but at least had this moment to put this paper on trial for whatever bad thing he thought that they maligned him or slandered him, whatever it was, but at least got it out there and felt like the world was listening. Maybe it wouldn't have come to this. It's too hard to say that, but I don't know. Just it's guns in America. That's what it is. And gun control or not, that wouldn't have stopped anything. It's just guns and crazy people. They go together like, ketchup and potatoes. Anywho, that's really, at this point, that's really all that anybody can say about this damn topic at this point. Let's move on to another song, another part of our Saturday segue of songs in the news. You'll have to listen closely. I will give a hint at the title, and you'll hear why we're playing it. Okay, see if you can get why we're playing this particular number. Okay, wow, that's highly modulated, wasn't it? That was, of course, the Magnetic Fields, one of the great, it's kind of hard to hear them on this machine, but one of the great absolute bands. And if you've never heard Stephen Merritt's songwriting absolutely plunge into the Magnetic Fields, whether it's their great album I or 69 Love Songs or some of the other stuff that they've done, very catchy, very smart, very lyrical, great stuff. But why did we play that particular Magnetic Fields tune? Well, if you could hear it there, the tune was called Heather, from their album Pieces of April. Why would I play a song called Heather on Dave's Gone By as part of our Saturday segue? Well, kind of sad celebrity news. Police got a 911 disturbance call. This almost belongs in Greeley Crimes and Old Times, honestly. But actress Heather Locklear, she's been having a rough go of it. Somebody called the police on her. They tried to help her, but a very intoxicated Heather Locklear, age 56, started fighting back and got herself arrested. She made the $20,000 bail, probably just by opening her change purse, but and then went home. But then the next day, EMTs were called to her house for a potential overdose, possibly suicidal, and now she's going for a psych evaluation and all sorts of, hopefully, rehab and therapy. It's this kind of thing where I want to understand people who have everything and don't appreciate it, right? And yet, here I go, I start almost every episode of this program bitching about something and complaining about my life. And a car got damaged in the hail, and I've got a back problem, and this is going on, and I teach in the fall, but I can't get a full-time, regular, good-paying job that I care about, and my plays aren't getting done. It's like bitch, complain, and someone living on almost nothing a year, on food stamps in a terrible neighborhood, somebody's had terrible physical damage done to them, will probably look at me and go, shut the fuck up. What the hell are you talking about? You've got a nice little house, you eat well, as my tummy will show, you got a great, wonderful, adorable wife, you've got potatoes everywhere, you have a car that works, etc., and so forth. You get to go to New York and see theater, you're a published critic, you've done shows, who the hell are you, first world problem boy, to complain? So I understand that dichotomy, and I understand who the hell am I to say when someone who's rich and famous, like Heather Locklear, goes off the bend and turns to alcohol and whatever else and feels suicidal about her life. How can I stand from my hypocritical standpoint and look at her and go, oh my God, really? Really? You live in Hollywood, you made a ton of money, you're probably still getting residuals, maybe not, but still from those shows that you were on. I forget, what the hell was Heather Locklear on anyway? Aside from on various medications. So, a certain part of me sympathizes and empathizes, while another part of me just goes, oh my God, if I had your money. Oh my God, if I had your name recognition. Oh my God, you could probably reach into your garage or some storage facility and pull out some relic, something that you wore on an episode that they let you keep, right? Or some script or something that you salvaged from being on, I don't know, what TJ Hooker, whatever the hell. Anybody who's listening and watching the Facebook show, if you remember what Heather Locklear was on TV, just write it out and remind me what show she was on. But, you know, this woman is having the mental problems and the psychological ailments that would put her in this situation. I feel bad, and yet it enrages me in a sense of like, oh, if I had what she had, would I complain? I don't know. I'm Jewish. I probably would. But anyway, we wish her well. You know, she was very pretty back in the day, had some talent. Maybe she'll pull herself out of this. She has the money to go to rehab, so we'll see. But that's why we played Heather by the Magnetic Fields here on Dave's Gone By, in honor and in the hopes of Heather Locklear getting better. Okay, we're moving on with more music in the Daverhood. Oh, I did put up the next one. So, you get the idea. You know what you're supposed to do. Why are we playing this particular movie tune?
Please, Mr. Kennedy. I don't want to go. Don't show me out of school. Please, Mr. Kennedy.
From the 2013 movie soundtrack, to recognize that from Inside Llewyn Davis, the Coen brothers film, all about the folk guy who a guy who really legitimately can't get a break, although it's still sort of first world problems, but, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing that movie again. There are parts that are really funny and just parts that are kind of hard to sit through. But Inside Llewyn Davis, the vocalists there, Justin Timberlake, Oscar Isaac, and Adam Driver, and you know, the plot that song has a part in. Oscar Isaac, that character, plays on that song. He's brought in as a session musician, and he takes just a one-time fee for playing rather than taking a percentage of royalties, and the song ends up becoming a novelty hit on the radio. So he took a couple of $100 and missed out on thousands, which would have really saved his ass. That's the way that movie goes. But the name of that song, written specifically for the movie, is Please, Mr. Kennedy. Please, Mr. Kennedy. And oh, please, Mr. Kennedy, did you have to call it quits this past week? Justice Anthony Kennedy, 81 years old, has said that he will retire at the end of July, which throws every Democrat, every liberal I know into a complete, utter maelstrom tizzy of chaos. Because, you know, we were all just hoping that by the tips of her fingernails, her fingertips, Ruth Bader Ginsburg would stay healthy. You know, she's very out and about, and she goes to the theater, and she goes to dance things, and she speaking engagements, and she does judging contests and things. No! Put yourself in a little hydroponic chamber, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We need you to stay really alive and really healthy for just another 2.5 years, please. Because Kennedy threw the monkey wrench in here, because now, with him retiring, Donald Trump gets to pick his second Supreme Court justice choice, and there's nothing to stop it. The Democrats can piss and moan all they want, but, you know, not the suicide option, but the nuclear option is in place. So Trump, if he gets pretty much most of the Republicans on board, he can push through whomever he wants, as right-wing and conservative as he wants now, with Kennedy retiring. It is the worst possible news. Not, by the way, that Kennedy was a Ginsburg. Not that he was some kind of left-wing liberal. He was the swing vote, and to his credit, although conservative-ish, he voted in a liberal kind of way on certain issues, most notably, and I guess most recently, on gay marriage. rather, I guess, unexpectedly, he went with love over everything else, of saying, hey, you know, LGBTQ, people absolutely entitled to the same rights. They should be allowed to marry. The vote went through, and you know what? The world did not collapse. For all these Christian people, for all these right-wingers, these bibliophiles who are like, oh my God, the world will fall apart if the fags get to marry. They're marrying. Who cares? It's great. It's fine. The world goes on and is probably a little better and more full of love than it was. More kids adopted now and having stable homes instead of being in orphanages because gay people are adopting them, right? So he did well on that level. Anthony Kennedy did. He was, however, very much against gun control, and he will do time in hell or limbo, just as Kennedy will, for the vote that he cast back in 2000 when they were counting the Florida Chads and said, yep, George W. Bush won the election. Even though Al Gore had the popular vote, even though there was all sorts of shenanigans in Florida and patronage, Kennedy was one of the voters who said, let's end this. Let's make the worst possible fucking president of the past, 20 years. I wouldn't even say 50. Let's give it to Bush. Let's give it to W. That is also part of Kennedy's legacy. So on one level, I curse the son of a bitch. On the other, I kind of wish he stuck around for another 2 years. And of course, now you've got Mitch McConnell, the ultimate mushed-mouthed Southern hypocrite, saying, oh yeah, well, we're going to vote on the next justice in the early fall. Trump is going to make his choice on July 9th, I think it is, and then they intend to have that vote and put this person in place by the early autumn, as opposed to waiting until the midterm elections are over, when we're probably going to have more Democrats in the Senate and in the House, maybe overturn one or both of those. Doubtful at this point, but so Democrats are saying, hey, you held up Merrick Garland's nomination, the man who should have been a Supreme Court justice right now. But you held up the vote for 9 months saying, oh, no, you got to wait for the next election. The next election cycle. It's not fair to vote now. Now suddenly McConnell's like, well, we're going to put him in as soon as we can. You know? Miserable son of a bitch. Please get cancer, Mitch McConnell. Please get leprosy and AIDS and cancer. And what else can you get? Hangnail. Really bad hangnail to Mitch McConnell, and all the other Republicans who are now going to give, certainly, not give the Democrats a taste of their own medicine, but literally hypocritically push through something when they delayed Obama's very reasonable pick for a Supreme Court justice back a few years ago. So now what happens? Now Trump appoints a conservative, and I will not say that Donald Trump is going to pick the most fanatically alt-right, anti-abortion, anti-liberal, anti-social. I mean, I don't think he's going to reach so far right-wing, but he doesn't have to. All he needs is a staunch conservative constitutionalist to put gay marriage in danger, and certainly abortion in danger. And again, it's not going to be this kind of thing where suddenly, after 50 years, I think it was 1972, the Supreme Court will overturn Roe v. Wade. That they'll be like, oh, no more abortion, we're going to stop it, stop women from doing it, you have to go into another country if you want to kill a fetus. And it's going to be more attrition. It's going to be more all these little cases where, not 20 months, but 14 months. Or if a girl wants to do it, there's got to be this longer waiting period, which, by the way, I think they just struck down in Iowa or Idaho. One of our states used to have a 72-hour period for a girl to get an abortion, and they struck that down, saying that was unconstitutional. That won't be happening much anymore if we get this new justice on there. So there'll be tears in the fabric of Roe v. Wade rather than the thing being torn whole cloth. So, if you want to know why I pissed off and had a bad week, it's not just my car, it's not just my hip, it's not just not having my column anymore and a magazine that's gone the way of the dinosaur. It's fucking, and I'm mad not at Donald Trump because he has every right. He's the president. He's allowed to appoint whom he wants, and the conservatives who will vote for that candidate. I'm madder now again at the Democrats. I'm mad that they didn't think in all this blather about Hillary Clinton and her emails and whether she's trustworthy and this, the money she made and how she felt about coal miners and farmers, blah, 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 forgetting the long game, forgetting that if you voted Republican, right, you were voting for the president who would appoint the lawmakers, and that at least you knew that we had old people on the courts, and you knew that at least one was going to die or retire. And the funny part is, the one that we thought was going to die or retire, thank God she's still there. We lost Scalia, and then, of course, the Republicans were saying, well, we've got to have a conservative to replace Scalia so that there's a balance. There's a balance. You think they're talking about balance now? No, they're not. No, they're not. So let's see how things hold in the balance over the next 2.5 years. Democrats really are stuck. They cannot do anything, but let's hope they make the next couple of weeks unbelievably ugly for the Republicans. That's all we can really hope for. Let's hope that whomever Trump picks is put through the fucking ringer, even if there's really nothing that can throw at him that will stick hard enough that Trump can't just go, I appoint you, you're in, go forth and legislate. Can you tell the mood I'm in, ladies and gentlemen? Well, I mean, everybody I know is in this mood now. So, yeah, this is what happens when you don't, when you feel apathetic, when you feel malaise about Hillary, even though, they should have listened more to the left side. They should have listened more to the Bernie Sanders side. And we're still feeling the repercussions of this, as we'll find in our last song of our Saturday Segue of today, June 30th, 2018, where it is 12:30 in the afternoon Mountain Time, doing our Saturday Segue of songs in the news. Why are we playing? I'm gonna move sort of part way through this one, kind of a longer song, but one of the greats. Why am I playing this? I think the song is well known enough that I don't have to necessarily start the lyrics, the actual singing on it. But if you love rock and roll, you know that is arguably the greatest Neil Young song, and it's called, from the Zuma album, you got it, Cortez the Killer. Cortez the Killer. Well, Cortez was kind of the giant killer this week in New York politics. On Tuesday, in the New York City primary, Democratic voters chose left-wing, avowed socialist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez over Joe Crowley, who was this old-school, long-standing, party apparatchik Democrat, still anti-Trump, quite anti-Trump, and still very much espousing the ideals of the Democratic Party. But the voters of New York spoke, and they wanted something younger, something lefter. Well, it's left on your screen. Something prettier and more vibrant, and they went with this woman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So she'll be going against the Republican in the Senate race in November. She's from the Bronx. She owns it, and she is certainly not part of the Democratic machine. And she has said that, she is all for a socialism that lifts everybody, that helps everybody, which is all well and good for the Democratic Party. The issue is, now that it's going to be a much more polarized thing of, when we get to November, will any Republicans jump ship, if they don't support Donald Trump, to vote for a Democrat where they might have voted for Joe Crowley because he's a little more centrist. Now, how many Republicans would actually vote for someone who is really avowedly harder left? This is the schism that's been happening in the Democratic Party even before the 2016 elections, but boy, it's there in full bloom, at least in this one particular place. And as we've heard, this is kind of a special circumstance. It's a special district. They're going to go for someone like this. It's a very large Hispanic population. So this may not be a template for all the rest of the country, where more moderate, middle-of-the-road, and more party-selected Democrats will get the floor and will go up against Republican challengers and then try and go in the middle. It remains to be seen. But we do have to say congratulations to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and put this as a wake-up call to the Democratic Party elite, to Chuck Schumer, to Nancy Pelosi, to Belize, to Donna Brazil, all those folks who put us in the position in 2016 where we are in now, where you can say that we've been winning, but we've been failing a lot. Are they going to back really strongly some of the more left candidates and put them up against Trump, put them up against someone who's going to be appointing an anti-abortion Supreme Court justice, someone who's going to be really still pushing for the wall, someone for the travel ban, someone for keeping LGBTQ or trans people out of the military, not LGBTQ. But in other words, it's going to be even more than before a left versus right midterm election and then major election in 2020. It will be ugly. And uglier than throwing some politician out of a restaurant. Believe me. Anyway, that was our Saturday segue of songs in the news here on Dave's Gone By on this Saturday, June 30th, 2018. So much fun being with you every Saturday here in the Daverhood, courtesy of the University of Northern Colorado, where I, Dave Lefkowitz, am here in my office. Are we done with the program? Not quite yet. We've done so much. We've had our guest, we've had Greeley Crimes and Old Times, we've gone inside Broadway, we did our Limerick, we had our Segue, we've read the marvelous Cow for Hansel, but we still have one more segment involving a different book. That's right, it's time for Dave's Big Dictionary. Extra, tell all about it. It's Dave's Big Dictionary. Yes, Dave's Big Dictionary it is, and what this segment has to do with is simply that early in the show, my wife opened this 75,000 definition dictionary, pointed to a word completely at random, and then it becomes my job much later in the show to talk for just a couple of minutes about the word, some anecdote, whatever thoughts come into my head, some story. And we've done this with other words. We've had words like hue, H-U-E. What other words have we done? We've done defile, that was a fun one. Down, mill, roundup, snobbery, spleen, that was a great one. Ultra. So, okay. Oh, and we did virgin. We did virgin a week or two ago. But it is not virgin. The word that my wife came up with, bless her heart, is prance. P-R-A-N-C-E. The word prance. Don't have a lot to talk about with that word, unfortunately, but I'm going to do my best. I'll read the definition. I'll find it here in the book. Prance. Notice how old I am at this point, that I'm holding the dictionary all the way out here. To spring from the hind legs, as in a prancing horse. To swagger, also caper. That is the word prance. What on earth can I talk about? Well, okay. First thing that came into my head, which was always sometimes the best place to start from, was watching Monty Python and the Pantomime Horse. And just feeling that most of the time I'm thinking if you are in a pantomime horse, which is a big fake horse costume with two people in it, it's actually the guy in the back who's kicking up the legs. So you see it do its little prance, and that's how the horses work in panto, in English panto. Not really enough to say about that, I'm afraid. Okay, so that's one down. What else can I say about prance? There is... See, if the word had been skip, I would have had a little better shot at it, because I do occasionally, very rarely, enjoy skipping. Skipping is kind of fun. And skipping is kind of like prancing, but prancing does have a more effeminate feel to it, and you also don't get to go as far. So, skipping is like forward, forward, forward. Prancing is more up than forward. Skipping I once did, I admit I did this, speaking of politics, but there was this girl working at a literary agency I was at many, many years ago, like 25, 30 years ago. Very nice girl. She was kind of cute, I didn't really have designs on her, and she wasn't interested in me, but she was cute. Okay. So, we were leaving work, and she was going off to protest. This tells you how long ago this was. The Iraq War. They were having some kind of protest. Might have been in Tompkins Square Park, or somewhere in the village around where, might have been Washington Square Park, around where our office was. And so I wasn't in the protest mode. I didn't really get involved in things like that. And also, as someone who was really, really angered and upset by 9/11, at that stage, I wasn't necessarily anti the Iraq War. I mean, I wanted to believe the lies that Bush was telling about there being weapons of mass destruction. I was incredibly enraged at the entire Arab world, not just for 9/11, but, for the way they had been treating Israel since 1948 with terrorism. So there was not... If America was going to start bombing Iraq for mostly what we assumed were the right reasons, I was like, not necessarily a bad idea, I admit that now. It was the wrong war, the wrong place, the wrong time. But at the time, we're still talking not that long after 9/11. Wait a minute. Wait a cotton-picking minute. I am getting my time frames completely discombobulated. This happens when you get to be my advanced age. This was not after 9/11. This is many years before. This would have been this might have been Grenada. Ha! Or it might have been the Falklands, or no, it would have been the Falklands. It was some other conflict that we were getting involved in, because this was many years before 9/11. Now that I think about it, because I was working somewhere else around that time. This would have been the late 1980s, early 1990s. I forget what country we would have been involved with. It was probably Middle Eastern. And anyway, there was this one protesting. Maybe it was about getting involved or stealing oil from a particular country. Whatever it was, the United States was doing something that some left-wing people weren't very happy about. And this girl was kind of left-wing, working in this literary agency where we were. And she was heading off to this protest. And meanwhile, I was probably just going to leave work, go have a meal somewhere, and then go see some show, because that's what I did at the time. And so as we're walking, or wanting to go to... I was going to walk her part way to the protest, because it was in the same direction, and she was in a giddy sort of mood. And she said, hey, let's skip. Let's not just walk there. We're not rushing there, but I feel like skipping. And there we were, the two of us, skipping along the sidewalks of the Greenwich Village. And I felt silly, because it's nothing I would have done if I were by myself. But since, you're with a young, pretty girl, it's like, okay, I'm skipping, I don't care. But we weren't prancing. We were, in fact, skipping. We're making that forward motion, skipping along towards Washington Square Park. So I did skip, but I know that doesn't quite go to prance. The one thing that would make me happy, if anything in this world can make old Dave happy, is just imagine for a moment, if we were placed dance or dancing in all these TV shows and contests and movies with prancing. Imagine, if you will, a TV show called Prancing with the Stars, where you wouldn't just have these beautiful ballroom gown things with doing special choreography or modern dance and disco stuff. No. You would have just famous people or C-grade celebrities like Jersey Shore folks or people like Heather Locklear getting on TV with strangers or with fellow celebrities and or with trained prancers, people who have spent many years of their lives on Broadway or in prancing ballet corps, prancing. And they just get up and they start jumping around like horses. And they're judged for that on the height, their lift, their grace, how well their aerodynamic shoes do when they prance, Injuries might be common because you're coming up and down on those knees. But Prancing with the Stars, wouldn't that be a lovely thing? Prance fever. Who wouldn't love Soul Train with prancing instead of dancing? If Tina Turner had done Tiny Prancer instead of Tiny, we have a different impression in our minds, right? What else? Prance of the Vampires would be a really different, well, it wouldn't be that different a movie when you consider who that movie appeals to, but Prance of the Vampires, let's see. Do your own word substitution, and you can have so much fun with this, right? Do you wanna prance under the moonlight? So imagine all these young kids in the 1950s not making out in their cars and drive-ins, but coming out of the cars, setting down their French fries and their, the stuff they got from the car hops, and just prancing around their cars. I think it would be a much happier world. I think it would be a much sweeter and friendlier world if people did more, forget even dancing, but prancing, Let's see. I think I'm running dry on this, but you're welcome to email me or message me your thoughts on what we can substitute prancing for dancing and how that would look and how that would feel. Doing dance. Oh, I think we've well exhausted that subject. So that is about as good as I can do for our Dave's Big Dictionary segment today on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. Well, it is 1:45 Mountain Time here in the Daverhood. Time to wrap things up. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, and just have to do some thank yous and my appreciation to all of you for tuning in, all the folks who've been watching the show and messaging, and the folks who will watch the show later. It's almost a holiday weekend here. People have things to do. You're busy. I get it. So maybe you weren't able to watch, or maybe watched only a portion of this program. You can go back and watch and hear the whole thing. Just come to this Facebook page, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. We're usually able to save now the entire show on video, or if you want to hear it in better audio quality, what you got to do is just go on the website, davesgoneby.com, go to our archive section. Remember, we have every show virtually. Just about every show that we've ever done is there. It's a podcast. You can download it or you can stream it on your computer as an MP3 file. You can stream and listen, or if it's a 4-hour show, you don't want to listen to the whole thing, you can just go whoop with a little volume or the space bar and go to portions of the show that you'd like to listen to over again. And don't forget that we even have a separate column of, or a separate section of our interviews. So if you just want to listen to the Karen Finley interview, or if you love the Karen Finley interview and you want to hear the Penny Arcade interview from a couple of weeks ago, or people like Carol Channing and Donna Murphy, I thought of Donna Murphy because she was in Hello Dolly, but we haven't had Donna Murphy on the show. We want to. She's welcome to, but she's not a friend of the Daverhood. But other folks are. Ruben Santiago Hudson, Robert Cuccioli has been on the show. Musicians like Loudon Wainwright III and Amy Mann and Lloyd Cole have been on the program. Entertainers like Carl Reiner and Dick Cavett and Pat Cooper have been on the show, and all those interviews are there in our archive section at davesgoneby.com. So please do check it out. Tell your friends to watch and listen to this program every week. Get them to like us and follow us right here on Facebook. And check out our website, davesgoneby.com. Big thank you to my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, for joining us for the first part of the program. And also to Ron Lasko of Spin Cycle PR for setting up the Karen Finley interview that we had on today's program. And thank you ever so much for Karen Finley. She even sent a nice message just before saying how much she enjoyed the interview. It was one of the best she's ever done. So I credit that to Rabbi Saul Solomon. Now you can find out more about him at shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T. Shalomdammit.com. That's a place where you can hear and read his mini sermons, his rabbinical reflections. You can watch the one-man show, well, with two people in it, that he did at the Richmond Shepherd Theater about 5 years ago, which he may bring back to New York in a few months. Might happen, might not, but you can see the early, longer version right on his page, shalomdammit.com. Also, episodes of the TV show that he did for Long Island Cable. It's all there. Check out Rabbi Saul at shalomdammit.com. And do please check out Karen Finley's show. You got to buy her book. It's called Grabbin' Pussy from orbooks.com. The letters orbooks.com. Grabbing Pussy is the name of the book. It's also the name of the performance piece that she's working on, that she's developing, that she will stage read at the Laurie Beachman Theater in Midtown Manhattan from July 15th through July 29th on Sunday nights at 7. So by all means, go see our new friend of the Daverhood, Karen Finley. Well, it's about 10 to 1 in the afternoon Mountain Time. Just remains for me to thank all of you guys for tuning in, for listening, for sharing, for enjoying the Daverhood. It really means a whole lot to me. We should be back here next Saturday after the holiday to do a brand new episode of the Dave's Gone By program. Don't know if we'll have a guest or whom that guest will be. You'll just have to check our Facebook page and davesgoneby.com to find out, or tune in 9 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 o'clock Eastern, next Saturday morning. I think it would be July 7th, wouldn't it, for another edition of the Dave's Gone By program. Thanks so much. Have a great and safe holiday. Don't blow your fingers off playing with stupid explosives. Don't go into those red and white tents. And look up in the sky. Watch for hail clouds. And if you see them, pick up your automobile, put it on your shoulders, and bring it indoors somewhere. You'll thank me later. This has been Dave's Gone By for Saturday, June 30th, 2018. Have a great holiday that the Beach Boys are going to sing about, and gone by.